No, 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 no! Ah!
At CoCoTALK, we'd like to thank the patrons who sponsor our show. So our warmest gratitudes go out to Al Hartman, Alan Murphy, Blair Ledoux, Brendan Donaghy, Brian Weisler, D. Bruce Moore, Davey Mitchell, Diego, Disney Saints fan, Eric Canales, Fedor Stamen, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Bukata, Jason Downs, Jenna Farron, Ken Reichard, Kyle Etter, Malfunk, Michael Pitsley, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Richard Lorbieski, Rob Inman, Stephen Wagner, Terry Steen, Terry Steggy, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tom C., Tom S., and Tim Lindler. Thank you ever so much, patrons. CoCoTALK is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCoTALK show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged, sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS 80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCo Talk.
This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. It's time to drop your socks, grab your real-time clocks, and let's rock.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to CoCoTALK, everyone's favorite live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. We're here with episode 174. We got all kinds of special things to talk about this week. Just you wait and see.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer, featuring a panel of, hold on, I got to put on my Mark Overholzer magnifying glasses. Man, this is a great looking panel. I swear to God, you guys get better looking all the time. I don't know how you do it. What's your secret?
Which nostril hair are you referring to there with those glasses on?
Those are like beer goggles, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so we are here. Welcome back. We got a great panel for you. We have in the top left-hand corner our backup streamer and engineer, Mark Bosley's in the house. Welcome, Mark.
Hello.
On the top of the screen from the bottom of the world, David O'Connor is here. Good day, David.
Hello, everybody.
He's got some Tandy products in his garage, everybody. It's Ron Delvaux. From Canada, L. Curtis Boyle's with us.
Good afternoon, everybody.
All right. Man whose name is so nice, we must say it thrice. It is none other than... Nick Marotta. How are you, Nick?
I am doing very well. Thank you so much for asking.
Did you get your eyebrows waxed, Nick? You are looking fabulous.
They are just growing wild right now.
Are they really?
In my
Okay.
backyard, so,
all right.
you know.
You look amazing. You look
All that
amazing.
testosterone he has,
yes,
I think.
all right.
Yes. Hey, I'm Italian. What do you want?
A guy whose beard is so nice that we must just stare at it thrice. We got Rick Euland with us. Hey, Rick, how are you?
Yo.
we got the man, the myth, the legend, our resident Apple guy on the road. Mark D. Overholzer's here. Hey, Mark.
Here. Glad to be here.
All right, how's the show looking from your angle there? Are we looking good? You don't see any flux or anything else going on there, right? Things looking good? Okay, excellent. All right, we have legendary game designer. We have the creator of the Nightmare Highway song, that shall ever live in our hearts and minds. Rick Adams is here. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're too kind.
Oh, thank you. We have Brian, the Music Man Schubring, with us. Hello, Brian.
Hello, everybody. I'm back.
You're back. We're glad to have you. Alan Murphy's with us. Hello, Alan.
Greetings, Earthlings.
From the bottom of the world, on the bottom of the screen, he's working on his 19th Ferrari with his latest hit single coming out to a CoCo near you. Nicholas Marentes. Good day, Nick.
Good day, everyone.
All right, welcome. We also have a very special guest, James Diffendaffer's in the house. Welcome, James.
I'm not sure how I should respond.
I know that. I'm sorry. I was
I am caffeinated and cranky and ready to go.
Caffeinated and cranky and ready to go. And, of course, we saved the best for last. We like to call him Mr. Enthusiasm. David Ladd, are you excited to be here today?
Why, hell I am. We're ready to go, right? Are we ready to go? I certainly am. That we've got the great panel. We've got all the great viewers that like watching us. I don't know why, but you know,
Way to sell the show, David.
We're just ready. Now, the thing is, can we keep this train wreck on the tracks this week?
David,
can we?
There are some excellent decaffeinated brands.
We've already gone off the tracks.
I just like to say...
I only have to cut back. I only do 6 liters of pop a day. 6? I could do more.
In honor of Mark D. Overholzer, you can shut up now, David. The resident Apple guy today is being played by yours truly here. So I've got an Apple. I've got my goggles on. So Mark D. Overholzer is being represented as he should properly be. So we're here. Thank you, David, for your enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm is contagious, as is whatever fungus you've got growing on your lip. But that's fine. All right, so we are here. We've got people already watching us, too, in the live panel. Nimble is out there. Rob Inman, Nick Marotta, Dave and Sharon. Jim R. is there. Al Hartman, Kevin Holloway, James Jones. Alexander Wallace from Mexico is here. Mark Bosley, Rob Inman, Kevin Holloway, Alexander Wallace, Mark B. The Job is here. Canadian Retro Things is here. Paco Otacte, Quinn Good, Jim R. Bill Noble, that's Curtis's partner in crime, is out there. All right, we're Amigos Retro Gaming is here. We're all here. The show is ready. We're about ready to get started. We have a few people that are hopefully going to join us in the near future. We're not sure when they're going to pop in, but when they do, we might need to interrupt this program that's already in progress to let those people speak. But we're hoping that Bret Gordon might pop on and show us what he's been up to. We've seen a few pictures in Discord of something he's working on. And then we're hoping that later in the show, Paul Shoemaker might be able to pop on. So we're not sure when those folks will or won't join us. Lloyd Thompson just jumped in. Hey, Lloyd. So we might have a few people pop in. And if those people pop in, we might interrupt what we're working on. Now that we've said and done all of that, is it time to get to everyone's favorite part of the show, Nick Marotta?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, since we...
Caught me off guard.
Closing credits already.
Closing credits. All right, thank you. Good night. Thank you. We'll be here all week. Thank you.
Well, are we going to...
See you, everybody.
Try the fish. Yeah, so...
Then...
Yes. So since we don't currently have our guests here to speak to, we're going to jump right into the Game On segment. And as we jump into the Game On segment, we're going to lead into that with a one of Ron Delvaux's favorite parts of the show, but a CoCo Thoughts musical from Samuel. I'm not sure if it's a musical. I haven't seen it yet. But we're going to start off with CoCo Thoughts, and then we're going to hear the results of this week's Game of the Week and so much more. So enjoy CoCo Thoughts, everybody. Okay. Now my Stream Deck is not working.
That's too bad.
That is. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
The best CoCo the best Samuel Gomes yet.
Yeah, hold on one second here. I'm trying to fix this.
Why don't you just let me sing?
There we go. Ron, well, go ahead, Ron. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
All right. Here we go.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes.
Dead men tell no tales.
Yo ho, play Sea Dragon with me. There's sea mines, there's lasers, we dodge them and shoot. Dodge up, me arties, yo ho. There's sea ships and tunnels, the boss is a brute. Dodge down, me arties, yo ho. Yo ho, play Sea Dragon with me. I crash once, I crash twice, and then I crash thrice. Mess up, me arties, yo ho. A bang and a crunch can be the price. Sink down, me arties, yo ho. Yo ho, run, sing along with me. I practice the flight to get to the end. Work out, me arties, yo ho. When I do succeed, I can't comprehend. There is no dragon, yo ho. Yo ho, enough sea dragon for me.
For me.
Dead men tell no tales.
Ooh, wow.
That's great.
I got all excited when I saw the word dodge in there.
Oh, good job, Samuel Gimes. Always not to be outdone. All right, well, I'm going to put on my my SpectraVision here so I can see this better. Are we ready for GameON results with Nick Marotta?
I am ready.
All right.
High Score Challenge with
Nick Marotta.
All right, welcome to another week of GameON results. This week we played Sea Dragon with 20 people. Tim Halloran, 850. R. Ellen Murphy, 1,580. CoCo Man, 1,880. David Ladd, 2,870. Ken Reichard, 3,140. Cat Lord, 3,650. Jim Rye, 4,160. Joshua, 4,280. Frodo, 4,440. Mr. Dave 6309, 4,650. Canadian Retro Things with 5,020. Me with 5,150. OG Stevie Stroh with 5,530. Tom C with 6,070. Paul Shoemaker with 6,210. 8 Bits in the Basement, 6,630. David Croker, 12,500. L. Curtis Boyle, 21,510. Tasman, 23,070. And the number one player this week, you know him, you love him, Buck Owens, 30,960. Thank you for all the participants this week.
CoCoTALK salutes Buck Owens.
All right, well, there we have it, everybody. There were the Sea Dragon. 20 players this week. That's not bad.
20 players. Did you notice the enthusiasm with which I delivered?
I did. I was going to say that. You definitely put some enthusiasm to that one. I can feel it. I appreciate that.
Definitely upped his caffeine uptake.
Yes. Welcome, Bret.
All right, you guys see my screen?
We do.
All right, so yes, we had 20 people playing this week, which I thought was a great turnout. So again, here's the scores from back in the day, which seem reasonable this week, given what we saw among ourselves.
It is reasonable. I've gotten close to those scores back in the day myself, but.
And the Rainbow Review, which you guys, if you can, it's long, but if you guys read it, it's pretty funny because he finds a few things wrong that he feels he doesn't like about the game, but they weren't really related to the game. They're more about other things like how you select the number of players and how the high score is displayed. And he admitted himself he didn't get far in the game. So the company sent a rebuttal in, basically saying the guy didn't know how to play. He was obviously not a good candidate to review our game.
That was good.
So a little controversy over the review, which I thought was pretty funny. So this week we had this is courtesy of Buck Owens.
Is this?
So yeah.
So this is playing on a
This is
fairly slow speed too, huh?
Yeah, actually there's a level 0. It turns out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's 8 speeds, 0 to 7. 0 being slowest, 7 being
It's
fastest.
just general gameplay.
Oh, okay.
I'll show the ending a little bit later. Or you want to see it now?
Doesn't matter.
Okay,
You
so
can
let's
talk
just
about
Share your sound if you're doing that, though. You need the full effect.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if you had the music on. Anyway.
Pretty sure you did.
Yeah, a good game. Another one that I think of when I think of the CoCo, even though there was a version for the Model 3 or 1.
Yeah, Model 1, 3, Atari 400, 800, Apple II, Commodore 64, all had versions of this one.
Which I was unaware of.
Yep. And there is a modern Sinclair Spectrum port.
Yes. Which is interesting. I mean, there was a CoCo, somebody who really loved the CoCo version and ported it. So kind of like what happened with the Downland level on Mario Maker.
Yeah.
There's CoCo fans out there that are bringing forth their memories onto other platforms, which is kind of cool.
One interesting thing, though, is that all the different versions of Sea Dragon didn't play identically. Like, the end boss, some of them actually have an end boss that looks like this snake thing, and then others, the mazes are done quite a bit differently, where you're traversing, diagonally up and down as the screen scrolls.
It's almost as if the people that ported the game didn't have access to the original source code.
Or hadn't even played the original game almost, some of the reports I saw.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, there were a lot of comments in there saying, gosh, I wish I knew about the air thing. That white bar is his oxygen meter, and that's one thing that you have to also try to keep
Yeah, they
full.
could have put a label on it.
Yeah.
Is it really laggy for you guys? It's streaming off Twitch. I should probably.
It doesn't matter. It's fine.
I have the ending also saved locally so I don't have to stream it.
It's fine.
Anyway. But yeah. A few people said that. I didn't know there was an error thing either until when I played the game as a kid. Either I forgot or I don't know. But I didn't know there was an error. I didn't know that was error either. I didn't know what. I guess I kind of ignored it.
Right. And this.
Another thing not well known is that you can fire up with the enter key, which isn't too useful in most places, but a couple places it gets useful.
You think that's air you're breathing?
Oh no, we're in the Matrix.
Okay, dumb question. Submarines don't really have to do that, do they?
Submarines generate their
don't
own
have to go
oxygen.
up every so often, right? Yeah.
No. What everybody does is they hold their breath, and then
Yeah.
when they need to, they resurface. Everybody takes in another deep breath, and they go back underwater again.
Yeah, it's just like diving.
That's right. You don't want to go too fast, otherwise you get the bends. Right.
Right. Yeah.
I like Canadian Retro Things comment in the chat. He says, I never lasted long enough to worry about air.
I think I just naturally floated up to the top whenever I saw the water. Didn't really think about it. I just like, oh, I'll float up to the water. Without. So.
No, it's a well done game. The guy that wrote it, he went under the name Kanai. I thought it was Jim Hurd. He actually ended up being a article writer for PC Magazine back in the 90s. And I actually contacted him there, and he mentioned, he did the game for Adventure International, and he also gave us permission to have it, freely available for download too. So.
Wow, it's taking a long time to break through that shield there, huh?
I do have another version where it's faster.
No, that's fine. This is neat. Most people probably didn't get this far or last this long. I know I made it to the boss once or twice, and then I just kind of died. I did notice that you could kind of lead the shots of where they were going to shoot to, because they fire to where you were. So you stay in one spot, you lead their shots there, then you just kind of move out of the way, and you can kind of, go around in a circle and just manipulate them. But it's easy to say when you're watching it like this, but when you're playing the game and you're running on adrenaline and just trying to kill the son of a bitch, it's hard to remember that. So
you can't shoot the turrets?
Not these ones, no.
No.
The other thing is too is that when you do break through and kill the final boss here, if you have the music turned off, it just shakes the screen and blows up a hole, and then you start back at the beginning. If you have the music turned on, you get a whole winning interlude.
It's exploding right now, right? Did I just see it?
Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to hear the music at this point.
That's okay.
It's glory, glory, hallelujah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing starts to pulsate, the screen is shaking, and then it blows up, and that's playing the glory, glory, hallelujah. Yeah, that part is rewarding to hear the music after all that fighting in surviving you did to get to that part, but the Popeye the Sailor song gets to be monotonous really quickly when you start dying multiple times.
Thankfully, they only play a few bars of that when you die.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It'd be nice if you could turn off the music, the death music, but you could still have the victory music, you know, because that's
they should have been
worth.
separate.
Yeah,
they should have considered the victory music as separate. From,
yeah, that's fine. It's this
okay.
This is a well-made. It's very fast game.
Yeah, especially
if
on
you
level
think
7.
that music's annoying, try listening to the music they put on the Spectrum version.
Oh yeah.
Oh, chiptune hell.
Okay.
Well, Spectrum music in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think for controller? So we had keyboard, joystick. I know Curtis liked the keyboard for the...
If it's a CoCo 1 layout keyboard, the arrow keys on the left and right sides of the keyboard instead of all jammed together in a diamond, then yes, the keyboard works better for me.
And did you find yourself using the shooting up button
Very,
much?
very rarely.
So it wasn't because of that. It was just you preferred the control.
Well, normally, like you use it like one boat on the beginning of the second checkpoint or your first checkpoint, I guess. You can shoot up to kill that boat if you didn't shoot it, you know, going up towards that area. And some of these things where you get stuff coming, like the stalactites coming at you, you can actually shoot those by shooting up too. If you,
You know what I thought was interesting was that what we now commonly refer to as a checkpoint, one of those magazine articles referred to that as a plateau. It's like, oh, this game features a few plateaus, but they don't tell you about it. But if you reach a certain point and you die, you can start off on that plateau. I had not heard that concept referred to as a plateau in a game before, because now our common nomenclature for that is just checkpoint. You know, you reach a checkpoint and you move on. But that was interesting how they came up with, you know, they used a word that seemed to work for the time before there was a whole vernacular around that, you know.
And then another thing the CoCo version had, not all versions had, though a few did. I think the Apple II did. I'm not sure which other ones had it, but there was actually some digitized speech during the intro.
Yeah. This game had all the stuff that I would consider fan service. Like if you had a friend come over after school and you wanted to impress them, this would be one of the games you would put in because it talked, it played music, it had sound effects. You know, it was.
Does the CoCo version say checkpoint reached?
No. The
Apple version does.
Oh, it does? Okay. Yeah. The only speech I'm aware of is the welcome aboard, Captain, at the.
Does it need a speech pack to do it, or is it?
No, it's digitized using the DAC.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other nice thing too is on that title screen when he's playing the music, he's kind of tapping his foot and playing the accordion like in tune to, you know, in sequence to the notes as they're playing. So it's a nice little kind of sequenced animation to that. And I think that's what the reviewer was complaining about, because as you guys know, when the CoCo's playing 4 voices, that kills the CPU. So when you're trying to press a key, you have to wait for the duration. It's like kind of like the play command. You can't do anything until the note's done, right? So trying to start the game while the music is playing, you do have to
hold the key down.
Hold the key down for a second. I never found that to be a problem to complain about, but it's noteworthy. But I don't think that should be on a list of gripes about it. That guy decided.
And we've
sour
seen other
grapes.
games that have that same issue.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if your score goes on the score list and it exits before you can see it. I think that was a problem with this game that we had. But
yeah, the only real gripe I think I have is he's obviously using page flipping to smooth the animation somewhat, but he hasn't tied it to VSync, so you get that little flickering every once in a while. That's about the only complaint I had, and I think it's just because he didn't know that VSync would fix that problem. Like on level 7, I mean, watching the scrolling here on level 0 isn't that impressive. It looks like it's pretty slow, you know, honestly. But on level 7, it's zipping by almost like a Crystal City style.
Yeah.
Like it's just motoring. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was going to say again, I apologize for any jitter and lag. I'm streaming this off Twitch. So.
No, it's fine. It's good. It's a good background thing to have. Any tips and tricks, anyone? Like he's getting ready to blow it up again. There's the second gyration of it.
Yeah, I think you get 5,000 points for blowing up the reactor, so you can tell if you broke 10,000, you blew it up at least once. The enter key is one little tip. Like if you get stuck with a stalactite coming down, you were trying to like go forward to lead them to fall early, but you missed or you drove where you were driving to. You have that last option to hit the enter key and try to shoot it out. On the reactor screen here, my tip is basically do a circular pattern like Stevie said. They fire to where you are at the time they fire. So if you keep moving and in a fairly wide circular motion going around the screen, then they almost never hit you type thing. Sometimes you have to adjust a little bit, but that makes it a lot easier to get through the reactor. I can pretty well do it like 8 times out of 10 now if I get to the reactor. The other thing is to figure out on especially on the third, after the last checkpoint there, you've got some really tight corners, so you have to go forward on the screen to give yourself enough lead time so that you can pull back as you're going over mountains and stuff. The lasers, the last set of 3, most of the time the first 2 are going at the same time, so you can just jump past both of them, and then you have the third one you have to pause for a second and then go past it. Once in a while, those first 2 lasers will go out of sync, and then you have to actually pause between those, otherwise you'll get blown up on the second one because they don't flash on and off at the exact same time. I used to have that timing down a lot better in the old days, but I kind of forgot about it this time.
Yeah, good times. Fun game. Good game. Good turnout, right? 20 participants is pretty good, right? That's It's above average.
Yeah.
So did anybody besides me play with keyboard? Did everybody else use self-centering joysticks? Just out of curiosity.
I haven't heard of anybody else who used keyboard.
I used the deluxe. I tried free centering at first, and then I was like, no, I kind of need the self-centering.
I used my 8-bit Go myself.
Yeah, I was going to say gamepad works well. Yeah, self-centered.
This does not use any of the analog movements though, right? So if you wanted to use a digital, you could. Yeah. Steve, okay, so
gamepad worked well.
that's what Bucko was saying. He used the Atari style stick with the voice on adapter. Okay.
That would probably be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still have to use the enter key to shoot up though, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
If you did something in MAME, you might be able to map a second fire button to do that,
Yep.
Second fire button.
Sounds like something needs a patch.
Well, the second fire button apparently does shoot up, but then pauses the game.
Oh, yeah.
So that must have been unintentional because
there was no 2-button joysticks when this was written.
Exactly. So it's just a
fluke. Yeah, and this stage I was mentioning like how different it is on different platforms, like where that little star reactor thing is. I mean, on some it has this giant sea snake, like the Apple II version. Other ones have 2 scrolling bars that you have to shoot through, going in opposite directions.
Oh, that's evil.
So yeah, the variety of gameplay on this one for what was essentially a port to other machines, every single machine had unique things to it, and sometimes violently different from some of the other platforms.
And none of them, the submarine was the same. They were all different.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the RS-232 standard. There are many.
Yeah. And one thing of note too, the Atari 400, 800 version, which I mean had hardware sprites and everything else, and I think 1 or 2 other versions too, they tried to simulate more actually playing a real submarine game, so that you're moving dogs slow throughout the entire game because it's doing that, that sonar sound doo-doo-doo in the background, and it's just slowly crawling across the screen. So
it's
simulating a real sub
scroll
speed
of the background, but you're moving slower.
There
a lot slower.
There were none of the 8-bits did parallaxing, did they? Not that I'm aware of, right? So it would have been a single background and foreground.
I think some of them had tiles, so that you could probably do some scrolling that way a bit easier. But
well, you had programmable character sets, which is what I think might be used on the Atari and Commodore.
But it's a very impressive game.
Because then you just need to scroll the characters that are duplicated, everywhere, and it scrolls everything.
Yeah, and the Apple II, because it didn't have much CPU power to pull this game off, actually, like the ground, instead of being solid, was just these little squares showing where the ground level would be. So you just get these little ripply squares going across. It doesn't look like good.
I did like their submarine though. The rear end of the sub is it's not a conventional propeller, but it's like a spinning the little vanes, kind of like a Nautilus looking submarine.
Yeah, it had little fins on the back going up and down too, didn't it? I think.
I can't remember, but
puts his little
flag cool.
up.
Yeah, the flag. The underwater flag. That's so common in submarines. Catches.
Well, I mean, they just faked that like the moon landing flag, right? So,
raise the flag.
Raise the flag.
Wait.
Non-national flags. There's no.
Yeah, Steve's commenting the vid's really choppy on his end too. So yeah, I've seen the same.
That's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's providing background stuff for us while we talk about it. So.
I try to download videos when I can and play them locally, but I couldn't do that with this.
Yeah,
one.
Twitch is not very good for restreaming. I've found from watching various people trying to do it. So.
David, were you going to say something?
Yes. So I did verify if you're using a joystick and pressing button 1, it does fire the upward missiles. So.
Does it pause too? Though?
But on the real hardware, it pauses.
No, I'm not talking about the second button. I'm talking button 1.
The first button.
Right, the primary button. It fires both.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't do that in the game.
Really? No. Okay. Well, then.
Have you mapped both buttons, maybe, or?
Nope.
And maybe you have a different version. I know there was a few different versions floating around. The version that I have is the first button. The primary button only fires forward, and the secondary button would shoot up. But then the game paused on real hardware using a 2-button deluxe. But I remember reading about there being different versions. As a matter of fact, some of those articles were saying that there was an advanced version of this or an expert mode or something like that.
That's what the Rainbow Review said.
Yeah. So I don't know about that.
That is on some other versions that are not CoCo. So I don't know that guy. He didn't really know what he was talking about.
Okay.
I have to agree with the guy that wrote back from Adventure.
Yeah, a guy who sucks at the game's not qualified to review it. Is basically what they were saying.
Yeah. And this game was reviewed in the other magazines too. I think I'd posted some links.
Yeah.
No,
there was a there was a handful of magazine links posted in Discord this week, and I found not only did I enjoy reading those articles, but then I kind of got caught up in reading the old magazine too. I was like, oh wow, man, this is a blast from the past, So especially the Color Computer magazine, that one was a pretty well laid out publication, So.
Yeah, we sometimes forget, like in early '83, there was no less than 5 major CoCo magazines going simultaneously just in North America. I don't know when the ones in Australia started up.
Yeah, that is
plus Dragon and everything else in Europe. So it was a pretty popular machine back then.
All right, well, have we beat the Sea Dragon discussion to death? Do we want to reveal next week's game, Nick, or is there more we need to chime in? Sorry, James, were you going to say something?
Yeah, if anybody wants to see the coolest animations and stuff, take a look at the Spectrum version, because they added bubbles when you fire torpedoes.
Oh, neat.
Spinning propeller and stuff. There's a couple videos up on YouTube.
Okay.
And you said that was an unofficial late port. That wasn't part of the Adventure International releases, right?
Yeah, it was like 2010 or something.
Okay.
Someone came up with a new.
And this one started on the Tier City Model 1.3. I should mention that. That was the first platform to get it.
Yep.
Impressive. And Nick Morendez, you've played it, and you said you liked it back in the day on the Model 1, right?
It was one of my favorite games on the Model 1.
Neat.
It plays pretty well.
CoCo 3 upward.
I don't know what it's doing now.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So we ready to hear about next week's game?
I am ready for the big reveal, Nick.
So next week's game is a CoCo 3 game, and it's a port.
Uh-oh.
I think you guys will recognize it. I hate when that menu comes down. Hold on.
Maybe.
Arkanoid.
Dun, dun,
So it is a CoCo 3 game, but it's also got a CoCo 2 mode.
Yes.
So I suggest playing the CoCo 3 version if you can, because it's arcade, very, very close, if not perfect. But there is a CoCo 2 version as well and it
has the same level, so I think you could play either if you only have a CoCo 2 and you want to play it on real hardware.
Davey Mitchell says, surprised we got through that without herring any fish puns. Herring being the fish. All right.
No. Do you have a groan thing on your soundboard?
Oh, that was good, Davey. Yeah, so this was one of those dual cartridges that would work on a CoCo 2 or 3, kind of like the same thing with the Tetris. Yeah.
So yeah, this is our game starting today.
And starting on round 1, I presume we're not skipping rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, start on round 1. Even though for some of you it might be easy, Curtis, but we'll start around one.
No, Arkanoid was never really my bag. I'm not that great at it. So.
Okay.
This one, I have found that this game seems to play best on real hardware with a extremely analog stick. Like I've tried playing this one on emulators, and trying to use like an Xbox style controller. It just doesn't seem to fluidly match. Location for location. You always like kind of jump skip a few spots using any other controller, but like the Black Beauty. So this one would lend itself to real hardware and the Black Beauty quite well.
Yeah, and the Deluxe on free float, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again for another fun week, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do with this game this week.
And thank you for another great GameON segment. And speaking of games, now Bret Gordon has joined us. Bret, do you copy? Looks like you're on mute.
Hi, CoCoTALK. How are you?
Good, Bret. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And I just realized you were even posting this when Curtis mentioned it, but you've been showing off some stuff in Discord. You working on something?
Yeah, I've just been dabbling with a new game idea, multiplayer.
Okay, multiplayer even. Ooh.
And this is multiplayer over the net, not just locally on the machine, right?
Correct, yeah. And none of that actually is working yet. I'm just at the stage of trying out different ideas. It'll all work, it'll, just slowly treading into the realm of doing graphics and.
Cool.
Cool. So I'm thinking like maybe something like Ultima, if you're familiar with the old Apple II game. Maybe a little bit of Minecraft type of situation going on. I really haven't developed the game.
Okay. Yeah, I saw some of the pictures. Are you able to share anything on your end, or do we need to maybe show something off for you? Because I can bring Discord over here to the screen where everybody could see it. If you want me to show some of the things you posted there.
Yeah, maybe just the latest posting would be great. It's about as much as I have to show anybody.
Yeah, because he's got an actual video loop kind of showing.
Okay, so this is in, right here. Is this it here? Now, can I make this any bigger? Oh, look at this. You got a guy moving around with a sword, and it's kind of scrolling in 4 different directions. Isometric looking.
It is isometric.
And we got sand.
Looks very Populous or Warmonger. If anyone's seen those on the Amiga or Atari ST.
And that looks really good, Bret. It's very smooth.
Yeah, so far the graphics are turning out pretty easy, and they look like they're going to be smooth enough. It's not going to be the fastest gameplay. There's a lot of overhead and doing the networking and stuff like that.
What is this going to run under? Is this going to run under like Deck B, or does this need to be in Nitrous 9, or is it going to be in Phuzix, or?
This is just basic.
Okay.
It needs basic to do its, for the disk.
Okay.
And its boot up environment is basic, but it's kind of almost like its own operating system, really.
Okay.
But,
how many players you're going to allow at once, or is that planned yet?
We'll see what the server can handle. A lot of that depends on how much resources I can squeeze into a virtual machine server.
Now, the server on the back end is not going to be a CoCo, right? It's going to be a real computer?
No, it's just going to be a generic something like a Linux box.
Okay.
Or a virtual machine, something cheap and easy to rent.
Yep.
None of that stuff's really working, although it does, it boots from the network. So it's like I'll distribute the program. It'll just be a small, like 1 disk image. The kernel is like 1K or something like that, or maybe 2K. It loads up, it makes a TCP connection to a server, and it downloads the actual game code right to the CoCo. So
oh, wow.
When you log on, you'll have a brand new version of the game every time. So it'll be kind of live changes. And this week I worked on that and got that banged out. That's about all the server actually does, is just download the game code.
Okay.
And what you're seeing on the screenshot there is nothing more than just the primordial graphics work, the ISO tiles.
Are
trying to
you?
make sure that the gameplay is going to be somewhat reasonably fast, or like acceptable.
Right. Well, a game like this doesn't have to be 60 frames per second when you're just chugging along, exploring landscape. Yeah.
I think it's already dipped to 30.
Is this using hardware scrolling, or are you just replotting the whole screen every frame?
Just replotting as fast as I can at this point.
Wow, that's impressive.
I'm not gonna do fancy until I need to, or I want to, or just slowly implementing little features. Like this afternoon, I'm probably going to work on the game map to try to get the game map loading from the server. So the world can be very, very big. If you
Yeah, because you're not having to store things in RAM or on disk.
Yeah. It'll be a 512K game because there's still going to be plenty of resources downloaded.
Sure.
The beauty of having the server is you'll have the server will be able to push dynamic graphics to the CoCo. When you change worlds or move to a different section, or enter the puzzle, or go through the time warp, or go to the space station, whatever the game actually ends up being. I think I can put a pretty big size map on the server, and hopefully we'll be able to interact together, multiplayer, lots of multiplayers, hopefully.
Massive multiplayer online. This is a CoCo MMO game.
Hopefully it will be. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. There's some programming challenges, mostly on the server side. That's going to be interesting for me. So it's kind of a programming challenge.
Neat.
The graphics are not going to be really spectacular unless somebody wants to make me a bunch of graphics.
There's a few people in the community that can help with that for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I actually thought of like letting you guys make the graphics in the game itself. Give you an area of the world that's yours, and you put whatever graphics you want in there, and put your castle up or your.
That's not a bad idea.
Whatever. I don't have a game yet. It's just basically working on graphics, working on server.
Now.
For your internet connection, does this require DriveWire, or does it work over one of the wireless modems, or what?
It works over DriveWire. Right now, I'm strictly using it on an emulator. My CoCo's packing up. I'm actually going to be moving here in a couple of weeks, so I don't really have the gumption to pull out everything to do it. But it should work on most of the DriveWire things, which I think includes some of the wireless things.
Neat. Oh, in the live chat, Mark B is reminding us that Nick Marentes is really good at doing trash cans. So if you need any trash cans in this game, he can make one of those for you. So.
I'll make sure we throw a trash can somewhere.
Especially OS 9 ones.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Definitely looking up. I'm definitely looking for help as far as gameplay suggestions. I'm not really a game player. I think the last strategy game I played was Doom, back on the PC, back when I was in college. So
wow.
Maybe a little bit of Minecraft here and there, but other than that, I don't have a lot of experience with these kind of games.
I'll be happy to be a beta tester.
But I definitely have, beta testing and just general ideas for a game. Like what kind of, you want it to be a space game, or RPG, or sandbox game. That a lot of that should be pretty well doable. So combination of both.
Yeah, I like the RPG. This has kind of got like a Legends of Zelda vibe to it, So it's
yeah. That's I just said, well, I'll just do a little king, and I'll be like, instead of Lord British, I'll be Lord Irish.
Nice.
So Lord Irish, he'll be carrying a stein of beer or something.
Pint of Guinness.
It looks really, really good, Bret. Quite impressive.
Just like trying to get a tile, like, okay, I got to put tiles, so I got to make a little tiles. It's the graphics are, it's not my favorite thing to do in the world.
Well, you're
I think we would get like Paul Thayer, maybe Erico. Ron DeVille, do you do smaller graphics design like this? I know you do a lot of the full screen stuff. Ron's still there.
Looks good. Looks really good. Well, whatever I can do to help Bret, other than programming it, if you need testing, if you need financial assistance for server stuff, you need input, count me in. This is exciting. I like this.
Well, good. I definitely use just in moral support, because these games are huge, and it'll be many, many months of messing around with gameplay and debugging and stuff like that, but probably just people playing it.
Yep. And if you have any tools like map editors and stuff like that, I'd be happy to help you out with that, to help you generate some of the landscape and stuff.
Itself, because the server can just download all that stuff as you need it to your CoCo. So, the map, I'm thinking of putting a map editor right in the game. So if you got the game, you can edit the world
Neat.
that you exist in. So just to make it available to other people to help. If you want to create your own sprite for your own avatar or whatever, you can maybe do that. We'll see. We'll see. Again, this has only been like a couple days worth of work of me messing around with things.
Really impressive.
And,
yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This might actually get me off my ass and actually get DriveWire hooked up at some point.
We'll see if it's there. Mikey's DriveWire server works really, really nice. That's what I'm using. It's, I think, the only thing you really can use nowadays.
Yeah, in my case, it's just because my CoCo's in a totally separate area of the house, and I don't have any hard wiring to there, and I haven't got a wireless modem yet, so that's the reason I haven't done it. I know Bill's been fiddling with it on the development side, as has Steve and Nick and a few others too, but this actually will give me some incentive to get it going, because this looks awesome.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Well, I think we need a multiplayer game.
Absolutely. Oh, speaking of which, I know we had talked about this a while ago, and I don't know if they got put on the back burner, but the global thermal nuclear war thing, is that something we could possibly get a group going on in the near future, or is that maybe on hold because of this?
That'll be on hold because of this.
Okay, and worthwhile, of course.
I did put some hours of debugging and playing, with a couple testers, and yeah, it's just it's such a mess. When I did that, it was a retro challenge. I had 30 days. I crammed code in there any way I could. It's sort of an unintelligible mess, so it's kind of hard to go back on.
I'm working on my own code situation.
Your own
right
unintelligible mess.
I'm working on my own unintelligible mess, so I can definitely relate to that. And that's cool.
Well, I kind of said, well, no, let me start it over and do it the right way. And, the first network game was fun, but...
Yeah. Well, honestly, you probably are the first... And this will be the second, but you're the first and the second multiplayer games on the CoCo in a history of history have been because of you. That's
this will be this will actually work.
Yeah, no, that's
the only other massive multiplayer games I know of on the CoCo. There were some BBS games, but that was take your turn. You'd log in, do your 20 moves you're allowed, then you'd log off, and then the other people would play, and then 24 hours later you'd come back in and make your second set of
like
moves.
real time multiplayer. Yeah.
Because
well, P51 technically was the first.
I guess some checkers and Othello type games, but that's it.
No, that is really cool, Brett. I mean, literally, it's not very much I get excited for, and I'm excited for that. I feel like David Ladd right now. Oh my God, I am so excited right now.
Oh yeah, Stevie. Oh yeah.
I've got David Ladd level enthusiasm for this project, so that's cool.
And I could use help in giving me ideas,
absolutely. Count me in. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm typically pretty flaky, but with something like this, I will completely commit to not being a flake, to being whatever I can do to help you out. This is really cool.
Well, good. I'm excited.
Yes.
Yeah, feel free to come on anytime you figure you have an update that's worthwhile talking about or presenting, and we'll get you on for that.
Yep.
Keep the enthusiasm going. Well, let's try to get some artwork volunteers. Ron Delvaux, I don't know if you heard me earlier there, but do you do small style graphics that for this type of thing?
I don't know that I would do that stuff, but
I know you do a lot of full screen graphic stuff like color history, so
yeah.
I don't know if you did the small stuff. I know Paul Shoemaker does some of this kind of thing, and Eric obviously is a genius at doing all the
Thayer
graphics
too. Paul Thayer. Yeah. Very cool, Brett. Really exciting stuff. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I'm more than happy to help just test the client and the multiplayer piece and give you ideas and feedback and all that kind of stuff. This would be a cool community project because everybody can kind of chip in and brainstorm on the evolution of what the game is going to be and how it's going to be. It's kind of that double-edged sword, right? Because you could really become a feature creep committee very quickly, but when you're starting with nothing but a concept, you kind of need a pool of suggestions, and then you start to fine tune that, and eventually it'll be something. But no, that's really cool.
Well, it's playing it by yourself won't be any fun. So it's the
Yeah. And honestly, part of it too is when it comes to helping, just even moral support. If you have people just giving you the moral support to keep you feel like you're not wasting your time, I think there'll be enough of this to help in that area too.
By moral support, we mean a case of beer at CoCo.
Yeah, whatever it is, man.
So.
The Beer of the Week Club will sign you up for that, so you get a new case of beer every week. So just don't drink too much, then you'll start getting sloppy in your coding. So.
Does Patreon have a case of beer option?
Right, we'll work for beer. That's cool, Brett. That is super cool. Anything else you wanted to say on that, or is this kind of that's what we got, and stay tuned?
That is all we got right now.
Well, that is super cool. Visually, conceptually, and potential wise, this is probably the biggest thing to ever happen to the CoCo. So that's cool.
Well, I think the multiplayer will be more interesting. The ISO tiles are actually kind of easy. They're not really as tricky as they seem. They're just diagonal tiles.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll just give me ideas. Give me ideas if someone wants to do graphics, gameplay ideas.
Yeah.
A quick question for you, Brett. Do you plan on releasing the engine for this afterwards, so that if somebody else wants to tackle a project 2 years down the road using this same networking infrastructure you're laying out, that they can do their own project with it later on? Not that I'm planning on doing that myself, but just in case somebody's interested.
It will absolutely be open source. Everything I do is open source.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Very, very cool. All right. Well, we were in the middle of GameON, and that's a game, and that definitely feeds into GameON. We have GameON news and news, but before we do all that, do we want to maybe take a commercial break before we come back to GameON news and news? Or
I want a quick check with Rick Adams, because I think you came on because you might have something to show on a game too. Did I read that right? Or is he away from the keyboard at the moment?
Actually, what I said was I got nothing. I said I didn't have. At first I said, well, I don't have much to say. And then later I clarified that too. Actually, when I say I don't have much to say, what I mean is I don't have nothing. So
yeah.
Okay. I thought you mentioned OmniStar or something, or is that what you're planning on
You're working on?
Well, I'm working on that today, but I don't have much to say about it other than I'm working on it.
Well, so I'm going to throw this out there for maybe we can talk about after the news. But when it comes to working on projects, and I am the worst at this, is motivation, enthusiasm, all those kind of things. I run out real quick. I run out of steam real quick. So maybe as a discussion, since we have real people here who work on real projects and actually complete projects, unlike myself, maybe we can have a discussion on what does it take to keep that discipline going and not abandon things indefinitely, as I have many times. So that might be worth chewing on.
That's what I use.
Yeah. All right. So do we want to take a commercial break and then come back with GameON news and news?
Sure.
Does that work for you? All right. So we're going to, since we're talking about games, we're going to do the commercial break that talks about Radio Shack TV games. And we'll be back after these words, everybody.
And now these messages. It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
This year, I needed to give a real family pleaser.
Honey, please help me with this budget.
How about a new game, Dad? Please.
And I found it. Radio Shack's Color Computer 2. On sale for just $99.95. It entertains, educates, manages. It's expandable and affordable. Now that really pleases me.
The Color Computer 2. Sale price for Christmas. Only at Radio Shack.
Hi, I'm Kieran Anscombe, author of XRAW, and your brain is resolving sensory input into CoCoTALK.
At Gsoft, we make games for the TRS-80 Color Computer, TRS-80 MC10, and Dragon computers. Our basic games cover the range of genres from arcade, to text adventures, to simulations, to 3D dungeon crawls. This is our latest puzzle game from Japan, Fruit Panic. So come on and drop by our website and download our latest games.
Tired of switching your joystick between the left and right port? Want to change between different controllers? Well, Joey has got you covered. The Joey Controller Switch. Take control of your controllers with the flip of 2 switches. Order today at cocoman.biz. And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. Legend says, when the moon is full, if you go out in the country by the lake and whisper the name of Nick Marotta 3 times, his spirit will appear and he will grant you a product idea.
Radio Shack has a great gift idea for the whole family. Fast action TV games, and they're on sale. Get this 6-game model for $29.95 or the 4-game model for $21.95. With rising entertainment costs, that's a real bargain. You play hockey, tennis, squash, and more. Easy to hook up and great family fun that lasts all year long. The sale price TV games. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
Hi, I'm Terry Steen, author of Balloon Fire and other amazing games on the color computer. And you're listening to Stevie Stroh on CoCoTALK.
And we are back with more GameON discussions. We now have some game-related news that L. Curtis Boyle is going to be sharing with us.
Okie dokie.
We should call this episode Game On, the Game Oniest.
The Game Oniest. The gamest, it's the gamest oniest.
Hey, is my Sharon working, folks?
Your Sharon is working.
Hey, so this is Chet Simpson describing himself being bored. We converted art from Ghouls and Ghosts on the Capcom CPS-1, and of course that's a port of an arcade game, to the CoCo 3 color space with color reduction and alternative version with gray as the primary color over the bluish tinge. Unfortunately, the thing doesn't zoom up any bigger than this, so that's kind of what you're stuck with looking at. But you can see on the top view here, he's got the original graphics from the arcade game, which is using all 16 colors just in the character. Then he converted it down to the CoCo 3, close palette, where he's using 14, and then he actually reduces it down to only using 8 colors, which leaves you more room for your other sprites and,
background colors,
different colors. So it looks pretty good, actually.
It looks
so
really good.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The boy's a genius. What can you say?
He'll go far.
He'll go far.
He'll go far. Next up, Richard Kelly uploaded version 2.01 of Artillery, which is basically a minor update, but it fixes some bugs on the CoCo 3 in specific. He was actually crashing because he didn't realize that when you start using H-screen commands, it actually fries some of the contents of P-mode screens, and it was kind of doing both, and it was causing crashes. So and he's got some pictures here, like the title screen and then the actual gameplay screen.
Looks good. This is the whole, like, the bananas game where you throw in the bananas and the artillery. You have to do, like, your angle and trajectory, and it kind of goes up and then arcs and then comes down again.
It's actually loosely based on Bret Gordon's multiplayer game from CoCo Fest there a few years ago.
Right. Bret's been an inspiration to people for years. So, neat. Yeah. Rick Retro Rick is how he refers to himself. He's done so many things, and I feel like such a slouch. I haven't looked at any of his things. I know he posts things in there, and we mentioned, he's got this new thing. One of these days, we got to sit down and, like, pick a contributor and just go through their catalog, because Rick's been doing a lot of stuff.
And have them on as a guest at the same time.
Yeah, and I have reached out to him saying, listen, I'd love to have you come on firsthand, and I don't know if it's a Saturday thing or whatever, but yeah, we kind of got to do a little bit better job than just showing the screenshot, but actually checking out the software. And yeah, it's just that whole time thing.
That'd be good, like have a developer spotlight or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of go through back catalog, new stuff they're working on, playthroughs, etc.
Jason the Coco Man.
Yeah, this was an interesting one for me. This is a Ghost Gobbler, by Spectral Associates, which a lot of us have seen. It's one of the earlier Pac-Man games, but it's on a cartridge. I didn't know Spectral.
Oh, is that what that is? I saw the label, and for whatever reason, I thought that was some weird cassette, because that's kind of a cassette-looking label with that little.
Yeah, you can see the drawing where the little.
They just used a cassette label.
Oh, I saw the picture, and I'm like, man, that's the strangest cassette I've ever seen. I didn't realize that was a cartridge.
There's this from the bottom. So I did not know that Spectral made. I mean, they made some specialized cartridges. They had a 64K RAM expansion. They sold in cartridge form that didn't require you to modify your old CoCo 1 or 2. You would just plug in the cartridge port and you got 64K. But that's the only thing I knew of that.
And those are nice.
Hardware.
Looks like gold teeth there.
Is that an official cartridge, or is that someone's transferred gobbler?
Well, this is what,
because the cartridge looks like it's a homebrew job.
This label is the type of label that Spectral used back in the day.
Yeah, it's a cassette labels. Yeah,
and just a straight up Frankenbox.
But it's not an actual cassette label because there's no punch out where the actual you can see the lines where it goes.
Yeah,
thing,
it looks like they had they printed those out on a printer and they just used a different label, but the same
file created.
Yes, it doesn't look like a commercial package. So
because that label is exactly what a literal Spectral commercial game looked like on cassette. Like that's the label they used. That they didn't go high end on labels.
I know there was a few companies advertised cartridges, but they may not have sold well enough for them to.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be at all surprised if this was a period piece from then that's how they released it, and a plastic cartridge with that label, like not a homebrew or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen one. Terry Steggy, I think, is the one. He got the Microworks Star Blaster, which was actually advertised as a cartridge game. It's the Asteroids clone. Because he actually does have one of the original cartridges there, and I can't remember what the label looked like on that one.
Well, speaking of CoCo Man, he actually bought some stuff that Tandy released with dot matrix labels on cartridges. So Tandy had sold physical cartridges with a generic dot matrix printout label on it. So it's not completely unheard of.
I think it's interesting. The box is just custom enough that a company did it, but it's not so custom that. See, it's just a box.
Yeah.
With a notch cut in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something you could afford to do if you were running 100, 200 or something. You could get boxes like that. But without the door and the thing in there.
Yeah, right, because that drives up the production cost with the spring loaded.
Just the right size, so you had it made.
Yeah, that's neat. And I like the gold edge connectors.
Short pin on it?
A short pin?
For the power?
One of the pins is shorter.
It doesn't look like it. Not from the
side. Be on top,
on the other side. Yeah, it would be on the side, wouldn't it?
Okay.
Neat.
Yeah, but there's not even like a design for the the hinge door type thing with the spring.
No. Interesting.
It's not a Tandy cartridge, that's for sure. Yeah, that was interesting. I'd never seen that before, so I'd be interested. It was an official one, which I'm guessing by this label here that it probably was, because that is the actual labels that I even have some Spectra games down here, the original tapes, and this is exactly what they look like. Sometimes they put a different color ribbon in, and that was the only difference. Tom Mix and others actually had custom labels made, professionally. That said Tom Mix off with the TM logo and stuff like that later on. But
and they just kind of printed the game title on that label, right? Yeah. Just still dot matrix printed on that. Cool. Really cool. Interesting find.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were talking about Erico earlier with his genius of doing small end graphics. So for designing shapes and tiles, etc. for Bret, I mean this is the type of stuff he can do with a simple 8-color semi-graphics mode. And he does an animation. Now this is based on the Pitman game that we showed from Jim Gerrie that he had just done some updates last week. So he kind of did a mock-up with completely revamped graphics with like clouds of smoke effects and all kinds of stuff here. So I'll just play the GIFs. You can kind of see what it's doing.
Climbing the ladder. Yeah, super animation on the guy. And like when he hits the ground, like a little puff of smoke comes up, like,
Yeah, and the boulder gives that little bounce effect. It goes into the ground a bit and then a puff of smoke.
I love that little puff of smoke effect, yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I mean that shows you some of the potential with a semi-graphics game could look like if you took the time to build shapes, etc.
He's very talented as both an artist and an animator.
Yeah, I'd love to see what he could do with the higher semi-graphics modes, like an 8 to 12 or 24, with more vertical res. And
I'm always jealous of people with talent.
Yeah, me too.
That's cool.
This is why I present the news. I don't make it.
That's cool. Good job, Erico, as always, sir.
Yeah. And here, this is one that Jim Gerrie did 2 videos of. This is the second one because he did some minor updates, but it's a game called Tail Gunner, which is an original game. He's saying, there's a arcade game called Tail Gunner 2, which I can't remember what the heck it looks like, so I don't know if
it
this
was
is
a
even loosely based.
vector-based space shooter. So you had like triggers and you shot at polygon spaceships in space. Oh, this is neat. This is very cockpit-ish looking.
Yeah, so you're flying around. The plane that you're trying to shoot is kind of in the middle.
That is very fast too for semi-graphics. And
Very.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Yeah, it is very fast. I think Jim's been doing a lot less of the set reset graphics, which are quite slow, and he's doing the pre-built character strings, so you can just blast 2 lines of semi-graphics on very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And there you even saw the plane flying sideways, so you can kind of see the side angle, and then otherwise you're showing the back end of it.
Yep.
I mean, he different missions, and he actually made it local. I mean, he lives in the Maritimes, so Halifax, he's talking about it being part of the game title and some of the text between your different missions, and there's so many missions you have to do to win the game. And of course he did it based on his local heritage, so that was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's updating not only the moving ship, but your little crosshair thing is constantly being updated on the screen too, so they overlap somehow.
Yeah. That's pretty well done game.
Yeah, no, good speed. I'm wondering if there's any assembly routines in here, or if this is 100% basic.
He didn't show the listing this one. I didn't get a chance to go to his site to take a look at it.
Looks good. Looks good. Good job, Jim.
And then the last one. This is somebody I've never heard of before. LRU's Outrageous Gaming Project. And he's basically, it's like some of the other guys we've shown, High Retro Game Lorded, and what the guy was doing the Dragon stuff there, where he does a whole bunch of different platforms. So it just in the last week he started doing Dragon and CoCo stuff.
Okay.
So he's got like Donut Dilemma, and he's got
I like how he's got the emulator, and you could still see his wallpaper and the picture of his cat on his desktop wallpaper. That's a nice feature there. So
this is a gaming page definitely for the cat fans, obviously. So. But he did pretty good, like his Pegasus and the Phantom Riders here actually made it up to wave 10, so you get to see some of the the later stuff.
13 minutes. Wow. XROR. He's using XROR. Karen's. So is he a Brit? Or a European dude?
I don't know. I didn't actually delve into that, and I haven't been sending any messages to him yet to query with him. But that's doing the good artifacting, obviously.
Yeah. XROR is very good. I've said this a million times. XROR is a fantastic emulator. It's incredible. It's amazing. Amazing people work on it. Karen. Sound is a little tiny bit choppy, but I'm wondering if that's just through his recording software or something.
Yeah, it could be. He also has that monster that shoots the fireballs at you too, if I can find a frame there.
Yeah, look at that.
Not everybody's seen
which is different. That's a unique. There are some things I like because the whole Lancer buzzard bait thing, but this game here too plays very well and has some differences. Right, like
some originality.
Like in most of your Joust clones, you had a pretty static play field, and it was just alternating platforms. Sometimes the platforms were here, sometimes they weren't, and you fell in the lava. This one, you have like a whole background that comes into focus as you get closer to the island of where these guys are coming from. So that's a much different thing, because even the original Joust didn't really have a background, right? It was just black, right? Black background. So the fact that this is on a background and it's got scenery that's animated and changes, you got the shark swimming. What Joust had was the lava troll, which was a hand that would come up and try to grab you and pull you down. So in lieu of that, this has got a guy spewing fireballs at you.
And it had the pterodactyl.
Yeah, it had the unbeatable pterodactyl.
I love the way you pronounce that, by the way.
Pterodactyl, yes. This game
was
was
just
neat.
floating islands for the graphics.
Yeah, floating islands in a dark background. So.
Yeah. And plus, a lava troll only grabbed you on the two sides of the screen if you got too close to lava. This one actually will track you somewhat sometimes and fire at different spots of the screen, so it's a bit more to dodge.
Yeah, and what I don't remember, because I think David Ladd played this once and got further than I did when we were both playing around the same time. Do you ever make it to the main island, or is this as close as you get, and does it wrap around again? I don't remember if there's like a final screen where you're like on the island or not.
David, if he's still there.
Basically, you just make it into the cove, and then you're.
Is this the cove here, or is there one scene further than this?
No, it goes all the way in.
Okay, so scrub forward a little bit, Curtis, and see if this video.
I don't think he got that far, unfortunately.
Okay, he's almost
wave
done.
10.
Okay.
Yeah, he made it to wave 10. That's as far as he got.
Okay. A good game, though. And it does take advantage of the speech part of the speech sound pack, right? Where you'll player one, get ready, or something like that.
Yeah, whatever an unintelligible mess that the sound speech pack spews out. Yeah.
Mark Overholz would like to join. Should we let him on, anybody? Put it to a
I
vote?
let him in already.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Reflux, I know.
All right.
Sorry.
Acid reflux?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the name of this channel again?
This channel is called LRU's Outrageous Gaming Project.
Okay. And by the way, we usually try to post the links to these in the live chat, but the people who do that were unavailable. So possibly if Mark Overholzer gets back home in time, he can do that. If not, these will be put in the description of this video later on. That's done by Brian Weisler. He puts in all the links and timestamps when the show is done. Cool. Is that the end of...
That was the end of the GameON news segment.
End of GameON news. Well, Curtis, as always, thank you for what you do, for compiling and presenting all that information. Fantastic job. Incredible work, Curtis. I've said this for years. Curtis is an amazing man. Does incredible
Until next
things.
Week.
So do we want to go ahead and jump into the news part of the show? Or
Not a lot of news today either, but there's a little bit, so sure.
All right. Well, this is a professional show, so we do need to have our proper infographic and little sound thing here. So here we go.
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash.
All right. If you had not heard enough of Curtis Boyle, guess what? More Curtis Boyle.
Yeah, and if you have heard enough of me, I'm sorry.
He's back. And front and sides as well.
Stevie, you okay?
I was trying to hold back the choke and I couldn't. Sorry. You got me. You got me. I had a mouthful of coffee. You got me.
That was well worth it. Thanks.
It says anything can happen.
Anything can and will happen.
Even coffee coming out of one's
nose. If the
nose.
host sprays coffee on your screen, we're sorry.
So this week, this is a bit of a strange thing for me. We have more news from Jim Gerrie on the serious side of programming rather than the game side. Normally, it's completely the other way around if we even do get serious programs from him. So we got multiple things to show him from Jim Gerrie here today on the MC10. So the first one here is a reverse video subroutine that he's starting to use in his MC10 programs.
Okay. Neat.
So basically, you just pass it a string, and it'll automatically figure out what to shift the character set to print it out in reverse video. So this is a subroutine. He's actually got the listing up on the screen. You can look at it, or you can get it from his website, and then you can actually incorporate that into your own routines as well. And he shows it demonstrating here. He just made a string go sub 7, which is a little routine that does it, and then it prints out the reverse line, including. Like the thing is with the reverse characters, the letters are easy enough. You just add or subtract a certain value. But for some of the special characters, it's not the same value.
You have to poke them. You can't even print. You can't print reversed punctuation numbers or spaces. They have to be poked.
Yeah. So anyway, it's nice, and he's been using a lot of reverse video. Now, kind of related to that is there's this little subroutine written by Anders Carlsson just this year that is a machine language routine to invert video.
Was that guy like on CNN or something? That name sounds really familiar. Anders Carlsson? No.
He's been on several retro forums.
No, there's a guy on CNN that sounds named similar to that. That's all. Anyways.
Yeah.
Some reverse video fun.
You were trying to be funny.
I was. I failed at it miserably. Oh, look at that. That's fast.
Yep. It's an ML routine, so you can basically do inverted CLS of whatever character you want.
We control the horizontal. We control the vertical. That is pretty quick. So, quick dumb question. Maybe you know or you don't know, Curtis, but when it comes to doing certain assembly things on the MC10, would it be fairly similar to the CoCo as far as like the screen location? Does that still start at 1024 decimal?
No,
No,
it moves around.
Okay, so the video location is different. Obviously, some of the registers will be different because it's not 16-bit and stuff, right? So,
yeah, it has 16-bit, but it has fewer index registers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a cousin of the 6809. It's more of a descendant of the 6800, and it has some onboard I/O stuff built in, like timer interrupts and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I like Jim has done quite a few things where I've seen where if he just had a couple of machine language subroutines, like maybe Anders or James for that matter, can write little things like say scroll the screen left, right, up, down, one character type thing. If you made a subroutine to that and maybe some inverse video, and he could throw that into some of his games, I think he could come up with some really wicked stuff without him having to like learn assembly and write a program completely in assembly. So
okay, neat.
And because he hadn't done enough serious programming, this is he actually made an accounting or ported an accounting program over to the MC10. So this is specifically for Stevie because I know this is just going to keep him riveted.
Honey, can you help me with this budget, please? Shut up, woman! Take this MC10 and get out of my face. Generic accounting program.
Words were never spoken.
Take this computer and shut up.
You won't go far, Fletcher.
So anyway, it's enough of a notable thing to have an accounting program.
There is no real-time clock in the MC10, apparently.
Yeah, you
enter the
that'd
date.
be hilarious if there was.
Ease of use people should be quite used to typing in the date like this. So. Now, there's a couple of things here. One, he made a serious accounting program for the MC10. That's almost newsworthy by
Jim's
itself.
salary. What is it, 100,000
I'm guessing it's a port.
Yeah, it is.
There we go, $1 million. Car payment. Wow, he's got an expensive car payment. $8,000 car payment? My God, what is this guy
Obviously,
driving?
there's a lot of money in making MC10.
Now that's Canadian, though, right? 8,000 Canadian is like what? $20?
Ferrari dollars.
Yeah.
So, in addition to the fact that he's made a serious accounting program of some sort of the MC10, it's also got some pretty interesting techniques he's using inside of it that he mentioned.
Choosy moms choose GIF, and serious accountants choose MC10. So,
well, James, you can speak to this. The MC10 has a rather unique feature being able to save an array to tape, correct?
Yes.
So he's using that for saving the numeric values that you're doing. Instead of having to write out individual records for every part of an array, you just do csave, or what is it? I can't remember the command.
It's an
csave star?
asterisk near a star.
Yeah, so it dumps an array out to the tape directly. Now, he did that for the numerics. Now, for the descriptions of his different fields, like, this is car payment, this is, Jim's thing or whatever type thing, he's actually poking the values back into the basic program so that if you want to save what all your new text is, you just save the program itself. It doesn't have to send that out as data files. So it actually self-modifies the basic program as it's running.
Self-modifying code. Wow.
Yeah, in BASIC. And he actually kind of did a little demonstration of that on the screen because you can run it, change something, and then when you
look at that
program, it's changed the actual text over.
Not only is it a serious accounting package, but it's also self-modifying.
He stole that from the ZX81.
Adam, we don't like to use I don't like to use the word stealing on this show here. It was inspired by.
The first database program I ever used for anything
borrowed.
Began let a string equal quote quote, and then as you entered stuff, it poked it in there, and you just saved the program every time. Because there were no data files.
David Lord says self-modifying is illegal in a lot of states.
Well, I think this would make Steve Bjork's head explode because it's got self-modifying code, and two, it's in BASIC instead of ML, so it's like
it's on the MC10.
Oh, 3, yeah, it's a
all it needs now is ukulele
3 strikes,
music.
you're out. Yeah,
I can add that, no problem.
Anyway, that was a pretty fascinating technique that I hadn't seen used too often. I've seen some embedded routines and stuff that have done some minor changes, but like this way you have the data file, you save star for the data, and then if you modify the names of your headers and stuff like that, you just save the program. So if you loaded one tape off and then you did a bunch of major changes both in the numerics and on the text, then you put in a new tape in, you can literally save the program again with the new changes already in it, then you immediately do a save star and dump all the data, so you can just make new backups with the up-to-date, information. I thought it was a kind of a neat way of doing things.
That's cool.
And I just never thought I'd seen an accounting program in the MC10, honestly.
When you don't have records and such, you do what you can.
Yeah. No, it was impressive. I was definitely intrigued by that. That was pretty unique.
Fantastic.
Now, Canadian Retro Things, I believe he is in the chat, so if he wants to chime in a little bit, and we do have to get you on the show, fine sir, one of these days. But he finally got a CoCo 3. He's been trying to win one on eBay for a while.
In that box.
So we'll just skip ahead where he starts doing the
Does he get his wardrobe from Steve Bjork by any chance? I noticed they both like the
or Weird
Hawaiian
Al, one of
shirts.
the two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So. Or Leo Laporte.
Yeah, the Hawaiian shirt theme. I had to wear one of those when I was down to it too, so I think it's required to kind of get in the door.
Required wearing, huh?
So if he's still in the chat though, like he did this video a few days ago, and he's kind of goes through.
Man, he really opens up that stuff up fast. He said Weird Al is
Weird Al, good.
His fashion guru.
Good inspiration.
Yeah. Look how quickly he opens up that stuff. That's
well, I'd be pretty excited
technique.
getting a CoCo 3 for the first time too, so I can't blame him. So
they really
Definitely
bubble wrapped
well
the hell out of this thing, didn't they?
yeah, he mentioned it's very well packed.
Ooh.
You mean they didn't just pack it in newspaper?
Well, let's take a closer look at this.
Look
Good
out.
bed sheets.
Throw it in a box.
Okay, well, first
Now it's a bit scuffed up, as you can see. The label's missing. There are replacement labels from multiple people depending on what memory you end up installing in it.
Yeah, you can put a
Well,
512K
he
or
does-
2 meg badge on it or whatever.
Badges? We don't need no stinking badges.
He does get to do a cleanup video though.
Okay.
Yeah, and the guy had a hack cable for the power cord. It was one of the ones they cut off, and then he just kind of
wow.
taped one on. So
It's kind of like a lizard when it regrows its tail. There's a little bump in it.
must have been turned in for recycling because those are the ones that are always have it cut off.
Yeah. Now the sucky part of this video is he goes through and he kind of goes, explains what he got here, etc. And he never once fires it up to try it out. He takes it apart.
Yeah.
He cleans
It's called
it off.
leave him wanting
He's
more.
just teasing you, and you don't even know if the frickin' thing works. So that part disappointed me. That part disappointed me.
There we go.
Yeah, I watched the video earlier on and I come to the same conclusion. It's like, oh, plug it in.
Hey, wait!
Look at the title. I thought the same thing. The title is
Unboxing. It doesn't say turning on. It just says unboxing.
Semantics. We want to see a CoCo 3 fire up. Darn it. Anyway, hopefully he gets the sequel out because he does mention that he's going to, kind of go through it and figure it out. And hopefully he gets some upgrades because I think it's a 128K model as it currently stands. I don't know if he wants to give us a teaser. Couple days? Okay.
He just live chatted, said give it a couple days. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a few days Canadian, so that's like a month in American. So.
I just remember how excited I was when I got my CoCo 3 home. There was no damn way I was going to wait a week.
Yeah, right.
I usually plug it in first, and then if the smoke comes out, then I find out where the smoke comes from.
David Lord says when he plugged it in, the house went dark.
Only see that happen once in real life. That was when Bill Noble took the PDP-11 home and plugged it in, and the whole apartment complex dimmed.
It just blew the grid, and the whole neighborhood went dark. So.
Humming sound. And
I was waiting for that when I plugged in the Fairlight, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, right. Neat. Thank you, Canadian Retro Things. Where's he from, by the way? What country?
He's
do you think he's
from BC in
what
Canada.
country? What country? Oh, Canada. Okay.
Yeah, a real country.
That's the tropical part of Canada. That's why the
and Ken, we have to get you on sometime. So fire me an email or in Discord or something, and just let me know when we can get you on because I'd love to have you just talk about some of your videos and kind of the history of the channel and everything else too. So
absolutely. He probably has higher standards in this show, though. So.
We'll even teach you how to turn a CoCo 3 on in the video.
Yeah. It's a beauty, eh?
So you where to look for the magic smoke?
Yeah, beauty green screen. Eh? This is a new one I have not seen before, and it's kind of along the same lines, except using a CoCo 1. This is Cyber Hug Technologies, a channel I've not heard of, and he just got his very first CoCo. And he's got some, factual mistakes talking about it when he goes through, but they're fairly minor. But it's an earlier 1851 serial number for those serial number inclined people.
Cyber Hug, huh? Sounds kind of like a hippie-ish.
Oh man, I need a cyber hug.
1980 with 16 kilobytes of RAM. I believe the first model.
That's an earlier
used
one.
to
You can
have
tell by
just
the label being
four,
off to
so
the left.
This
and
is
Yes.
the badge.
a model included
For your serial number junkies, there you
go.
go. This is the PAL one.
1851.
Registers, two 16-bit stock pointers.
220, 240, 50 hertz. Oh, it's
But the
still
thing
got the
is
warranty
that
seal.
This little fellow came hood and
Nice.
hopefully.
Now, does he plug it in and turn it on, unlike the
So
other
are
guy
you ready
whose
to
video we
break the
watched?
seal?
Okay.
Ready to break
And
the
here
seal.
you are. You're about to watch a virgin
No,
warranty
no,
seal
no, do not, no.
lose its hymen.
Some central screw. That's of course on purpose.
I can't. I
His
can't.
really.
Avert your eyes if you're squeamish.
Just the tip.
Just
I was waiting for the CoCo to moan or
seal.
something, but it didn't.
I don't care much about it. I don't know about you guys.
Okay, this is wrong.
Around this area.
What the hell
probably
happened
for
to
the
my
signal.
webcam?
Adjusting the.
You can see it's a little bit worn, but it's not too bad a shape.
Color
Keyboard.
to cut off to remove the tire up, and
No,
another
stupid
tire
plastic
on the
clips
other
holding the
side.
shield on. I remember that from my old D-board.
Yep.
Address multiplexer or
Yep.
68.
Definitely modded, as you
83.
can tell.
Again, I
Didn't
haven't
your
seen on the
e-board also
diagram
have those plastic?
all those
Oh,
That's
I think
the
the
same as
earlier
mine out
E-boards
there.
did. I can't even remember
Since I
anymore, to
have
be
no
honest.
idea and not
That's the
Because I
same as
think I
my
had to
keyboard.
cut those off of mine.
found. So
What is he turning there with the screwdriver right now?
play a bit, I
That's a
guess.
That's the
potentiometer.
channel
on
select
Trevor.
switch.
Resistors
Wasn't that mod
and
a one of the PAL upgrades?
And by the looks of
It's
it,
Yeah.
I have
my
some
my
on the
PAL
screen, just by
e-board one's
playing
got that on
around
it.
with the first one.
Those mods.
I don't know which
Exactly
Is
the
that-
same mod.
which
Is that the
again,
fuzz adjuster dial there? Does he get the fuzz higher or lower by turning that?
dominance here,
But that's got a lot more pots on it than
horizontal
an
sync
NTSC one.
and stuff like that. So it's gonna be
Yeah,
a trial
it was
and
good.
error
It was to
for
give
me.
you something to do, try to fiddle,
Set
pretend you can
the
actually get artifact colors. I
percentage
think. No, I'm just kidding.
to get something. We have something
But here, I can see he's having some video problems trying to get it to run, and then he finally gets it all cleared up.
Hey, look at that. Okay, nice.
Dust
Well,
off
that's
the
a little
keys
cleaner.
and see if
Yeah.
that works, because if thinking maybe I can go over some testing and try to.
So anyway,
resistor
he's planning on doing, I
in
think,
order to
some
make
further
it,
videos on.
Now, did you notice
later on.
anything else in that motherboard that's
this trial
maybe
and error thing, but,
out of the ordinary from what we're used to seeing as far as
such things
stuff?
then to
Like right
You
now,
guys
that
who
whole
are familiar with PAL ones can comment.
so
on
that whole hodgepodge of wires there underneath where the RF shield would be. This is where we see the two Motorola chips, the yellow wire and the blue wire. That area there's like a satellite board above some RAM there. I don't know if that's a standard feature. I'm
It is
assuming
on PAL.
For the PAL.
on
yeah,
PAL it is?
It
Okay.
is.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming the two ceramic looking chips above that were the basic ROMs, the standard
Yeah.
basic and extended
Yeah, they
basic.
gotta,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Under
Yeah.
the
gotta
RF
change the
converter there, yeah.
timing.
But yeah, so I've got a CoCo that's got an area like this that had like an RF shield. And then there was a bunch of stuff underneath that. So that part looks familiar to me. What about that giant capacitor to the left there? Is that pretty standard too? Or is that because they're doing 240 volts? We need more.
That's a standard. That's a standard on an e-board, PAL.
Is it really?
Everything on
But-
that's
Okay.
Yeah. yeah.
What about the bodge with the? We have a pot sticking off a resistor hanging out of the board, like to the left of the case. There's like some taped on
Yeah,
wire.
that black wire going to it, and it's the one that's kind of hanging out.
Oh yeah,
pot
there's another
floating
pot
in the
inside
air.
there. Yeah, floating pot. Look at that. Yeah.
And then connected to a resistor that looks like it's been ripped off the board and flung up there.
Any comments from the
Something
PAL
really-
people? What that is?
Everything on those two shielded wires and the pot and the resistor and everything that's next to the ROM chips, that's all standard on
Standard
on those.
PAL
Mine-
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, if you
yeah,
follow
yeah.
to the left there, David, to where the red wire turns to black, and then it goes to the left where the one that's kind of like popped out half on out of the board. What is that part of the standard too, or?
Sorry, where you're looking outside that shield down next to the power.
Yeah, just outside the shield on the left, yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, mine's got that same thing with that black pot on it as well. I never actually figured out what it was. I
Looks
just connected
kinda
it all when I did my
hack-jobbish.
video mode. Yeah,
That-
it looks like a hack job, but they actually came out like that.
Did you happen to notice on the cover and on the bottom, did they spell color correctly or not? Since this is PAL, didn't have the proper color spelling.
I don't think it did
The
actually.
Any retro thing said nope, it was wrong.
no, not on mine either. Mine's got CLOL.
Right there, go. Right
Well,
there.
that's just wrong. You guys.
Tandy Corporation. No, they did not spell Calor correctly. They have an incorrect Calor computer that's PAL. How is that even possible?
Kind of strange.
Yeah, same.
What about on the RAM badge? Did the RAM badge or the TRS-80 badge on the top say Calor or color? Okay, there it is.
Color.
It's American spelling on mine.
It's color. Yeah, it's not a Calor computer. What is wrong with this?
Well, that's its official name, Color.
Yeah, but when you're doing
Not
PAL.
Color.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a proper name.
So it's a made up word. It's a made up word. Then.
Yeah, I have never seen a PAL motherboard before, so was interesting.
I haven't seen one of this early vintage. Yeah.
Did they only change it to Color after the CoCo 2?
Might have been. Because the CoCo 2 definitely is spelled correctly in every other country on Earth.
What about in Canada? What other silver ones?
My original D board did have OR. It was the American spelling.
Yeah, I know we joke about this, and we're not trying to drag this into the ground this time, but
sure we are.
We got nothing else to talk about today. We might as well.
That was an interesting video. You got the video working after doing some twiddling around. Then he actually had an Andron card. The one card he got with it.
Neat.
Now this is talking about the quote-unquote artifacting you get on PAL.
Right. If you see the purple and green stripes over there on that gauge on the right-hand side, you can kind of see.
And the diagonal lines.
Yeah, the diagonal lines are kind of funky looking.
Yep.
Yeah.
The monster's purple and green.
Yeah.
Blue, green, red, blue, green, red, blue, green.
Yeah.
I figure if you got 3D glasses on, that should look awesome. Actually, wait a sec. I have mine here. Let me try it. See what it looks like.
I thought PAL was considered superior because it did not introduce fake colors into the
colors. In PAL, they call them colors.
Normally it is, but in computer world, it's that they all went pear-shaped.
Okay.
So, Nick, you actually designed Donut Dilemma to use this type of artifacting because it's vertically based, not horizontally, right?
Nick
Marentes, I should say.
He fell asleep.
Mention Nitrous 9, that'll wake him up.
Vegemite.
Ease of use. Ease of use. Nitrous 9. Trash can icon.
TTL. RS232.
All right. We lost him.
I like Manny's comment, too. He said, Canada's a country now?
All right. Cool.
Them's fighting words, Yank. Anyway.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, pretty cool. So I'm going to be following to see what updates he does as he goes through and kind of discovers the CoCo and stuff, because this is the first one he's really ever, had.
That's a pretty clean. If that's still coming from the RF output, that's pretty clean.
That's super clean. Yeah, when he zoomed in on the text, I didn't see much artifacting in it. It was pretty clean. Yeah, nice.
Nick, are you just trying to stir crap here?
Is Jim Brain not available today to troll? Is that okay?
This next one here, since we have him on the panel, I'll probably let him chime in on some of this. But James Diffendaffer, has gotten some more optimizations in BASIC done for the MC10. And he's got the stock one versus the current one. And I think mostly it's math functions. There's some other things he mentioned here.
It's a lot of stuff for 16-bit support and faster math and stuff. It's the main thing is that now it's finally to the point where most programs will be over 10% faster.
Okay, wow. And the backwards compatibility is really good?
And as long as you're not expecting the direct page to be identical or the ROM calls to be identical except for the ones that are
indirect
documented, then it is compatible.
Okay.
Other than I haven't done anything major to break the cassette format or anything like that.
Yeah, because some of these demos, I don't know what this one's specifically doing, but it looks to me a bit more faster than 10%. Compared.
Well, that one is about 25. I think. Let's see, which is that? That's that is doing a. Is it factorial or I can't remember which it is. A factorial.
Some sort of math thing.
Yeah, it's one of those benchmark ones.
Wow.
And I just ran it through 100 times just so you could see the difference, and it's about 25% faster because it uses a lot of multiplication in it, and of course that uses the hardware multiply now.
Yeah, so I'll kind of skip through pieces here because I mean watching math happen is kind of boring.
Yeah,
Unless
it's
you're a
pretty
math whiz.
boring. I even made some cuts on some of this, and this is that solitaire solver, which by the way I actually went in and changed the code since I did this, and it's like much faster now. But
so this is your standard Klondike solitaire that you're just kind of solving though.
Well, this is about 11% faster. Is what you can expect from your typical program.
Okay.
And if you go ahead a little bit, you'll be able to see.
There was your circle drawing thing here I wanted to show too, because that one actually you can really see the difference.
You can really see because of the math, because it's like 1.5 circles for every one of the original ROM.
Wow, that is impressive.
Now, have you sped up the graphics and stuff itself too, or is it more the underlying math you're
not
seeing?
In the version you're looking at. I've actually shaved a few cycles off of the set routine since doing this. I haven't fully tested that code yet, but it's not a lot. The code's kind of convoluted, and I really need to sit down and analyze it and see what I can do to speed it up. One of the other things I've sped up since this is the character output routine.
Well, that'll help because Jim Gerrie uses the character strings for a lot of his graphics. If you're speeding that up, that'll help.
Yeah. Well, it's only 10 clock cycles per character, but a full screen of characters, that's over 5,000 clock cycles. 5,120.
Yeah.
So for a game, it's going to make quite a bit of a, difference. This one is kind of.
This is a life game or something? Or?
This is the Game of Life, and this was actually the first one I tried benchmarking with, and it took over 20 generations before I could get a full character head on that status bar at the bottom. It was pretty pitiful, but now it's about 9% faster. This one's kind of bound on the point and set commands. There's not a lot I can do to speed it up, but the main thing is the main interpreter loops a lot faster. This is a prime number generator.
Yeah, you can see it scrolling faster there. Now, is that partly the scrolling speed increase you're talking about, and partly the math, or is it more the math? Or
no, this is mostly the math and the screen scroll. The character printing routine is not, the faster one is not part of this.
Okay.
The funny thing is, though, if you double the speed, like a high-speed poke like the CoCo 3, the new ROM does about an entire screen before even one prime would be printed. And it's done almost before the other one prints a full screen. And this is what you call them, fractal. Or no, more. What do they call it? Starts with an M.
Mandelbrot.
Mandelbrot. It's a text Mandelbrot.
Okay.
Which is a lot of math, and you can see quite a bit of difference. But the main thing is I've passed the magic 10% mark on a lot of programs.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and if you've sped up screen scrolling and you've now, since this video was made, sped up some of the character string generation, I could see Jim Gerrie definitely taking some advantage of that. And getting
and one of the things I want to do is I want to do an 8K ROM that I backport, like the character printing routine and some of the faster math and some of the faster parsing and things like that. So it should get that'll probably provide a 5% speed up, but you could do a drop-in replacement ROM without doing any other hardware hacking.
Is the ROM socketed on the MC10?
Some of them it is. I have one that is socketed, but most of them it's soldered in, so it's kind of a whatever you happen to get. If you have a low serial number, and I think they started numbering the serial numbers at let's see, what is mine? Let's see. 200,000. I think they started numbering them like at 200,000 or something like that. And mine is like 200,092, and it's socketed. So if you have something with a low serial number, it might be socketed, and you can just plop one in. But if you want to do a 16K ROM, that it's not wired for that, so you'd have to.
So I wonder how
have some other board.
I wonder what the MCX 128's doing, because it's booting to like a ROM extension because it plugs into the back cartridge. When you boot into the MCX 128, it's got a modified BASIC.
One of the few things that they did right on the MC10 was they have a line coming in from the cartridge where you can disable the internal address mapping. Now, you can't change the address that video RAM is at, but you can put RAM at different addresses, or replace the internal ROM with a new ROM or whatever. So you could load a 16K ROM image into RAM on the MCX 128. I was thinking of doing that before, but I might leave that exercise up to somebody else.
I was just going to ask if you had any thoughts of actually taking the MCX 128 BASIC, which supports, extended BASIC commands and graphics commands.
Well,
and maybe, doing the same types of optimizations there if they're not in there already.
Well, I intend to do some high res support and stuff like that, but one of the things I don't like about extended color BASIC is it's kind of slow to parse, and there are other versions of Microsoft BASIC that have easier to parse commands and stuff, and I might not go extended color BASIC compatible, because it's just, I want to squeeze as much in as possible. So I don't know. I haven't really decided yet.
Okay. Well, keep us posted on that. I mean, because now that you're getting some noticeable speed ups, I'm hoping that Jim Gerrie will take advantage, maybe revisit some of his old games, and if certain techniques are even faster than others, that he might, revamp.
Just thinking how much more efficient the accounting will go with this now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, just blindingly fast now.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
If you sped up the character string writing code, 10 cycles per character, I mean, stuff like that Tail Gunner game we just showed would be a little bit faster.
Oh yeah. The games especially where you're printing a string, yeah, they're going to be a lot faster. I mean, well, a lot.
Yeah, and that's what Jim usually is doing. Like, he has scrolling games where you're steering a skier or whatever through.
It depends on what you're doing, because it's like I tested what was it, the Factorial or whatever generator that was the first one we looked at and in that video, and I mean, it made, out of 100 times through that, it made the difference of like 0.25%. But you got to remember that that's doing a huge amount of math and a lot of ASCII to text, or a floating to ASCII conversion and stuff. So there wasn't a lot of time to save on it.
Yeah.
On something like a game where you're not doing that, it might make a significant difference. There's several.
Well, I'm thinking, like, you've sped up character generation, like printing text on the screen. You've also sped up screen scrolling by using 16-bit registers.
Yeah.
Jim Gerrie's a lot of scrolling games where the screen's scrolling up while you're moving stuff back and forth, and it's drawing trees or whatever you're dodging around, skiing.
Oh, yeah,
or whatever it is.
It would make
those should
like
get a speed up
faster.
on both aspects of it, and get a quite noticeable increase.
Now, keep in mind, you're also getting the main interpreter loop. I've cut out a lot of garbage, and where if you get 10% faster to start with, and then you have faster printing, you're going to have a pretty good speed up on some of those games.
Yeah, I'm figuring you may be up to like 20-25% on some of them. So I'd like to see your new ROM image try some of Jim Gerrie's scrolling games and see
how are you testing this now. I'm assuming this is all through emulation, right?
This is all through emulation right now. Eventually I'm going to burn a ROM and do a little hacking to get a 16-bit or a 16K ROM.
I'm gonna burn a ROM, man.
Gonna burn a ROM.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
I mean, you're basically doing the same approach I've been doing with Nitrous 9, is try to speed up little bits here and there, and once you amalgamate them all together and you're using several at the same time,
it's like
speeds up a fair bit.
They jump to a subroutine to test the keyboard before every single token is processed, and that jumps to another subroutine which calls something else.
Yeah, the original Color Basic did that too, and they fixed that up.
It's horrible. And the print routine too is, I haven't even started on the print, but I test for like the break key myself, but I only do it like every 16 tokens. So it's, and I have 3 instructions versus a jump and a jump and a jump and a return and a return and a, yeah. So,
yeah,
you know, it's stuff like that. It just wasn't made to be efficient.
No, it was made to be portable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, the print character thing kind of annoyed me because you want to do the most commonly thing printed first. You want to test for that first so you can deal with it. And instead, the first thing they test for is a backspace. Who's printing backspaces to the screen? And the next is a carriage return. And then they test for a regular character. And all I did was change the code order, and I could cut 2 tests, 2 branches, and 1 test instruction. You know, it's like, it was nothing.
In a
They could have done it in
partridge
5
in a
minutes.
pear tree.
Anyway, we're getting off track.
No, that's
I
cool,
don't want
though.
Stevie to rage quit.
No, that's fine. Good stuff.
Yeah, but I'd like to see you and Jim Gerrie maybe combine, and maybe he can give you a couple that he thinks, based on the description of what you've changed, that he could try and maybe you improve the game or whatever, and maybe re-release them based on this.
Well, I'm gonna, as soon as I track down my last bug in this, I might send him a test version again, and he can test whatever he wants on it. So
neat.
Cool. And this was a last-minute addition to the news because it just dropped right before the show started. This is the Gimme X with an 8 meg board. You can see the 8 meg prominently displayed on his little prototype. And I have not watched this yet. I just got the link to it, so it's new to me too. We'll see what he says. I'll play this whole way through. It's only just under a minute.
for all you know, it could have dancing girls right after the start.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Hey guys.
Can you hear it okay,
So
or should I turn
it's
up?
been such a busy summer that I've only just now gotten around to actually implementing the onboard programming for the 8 megabyte RAM upgrade.
I'd turn it up a little bit.
Gimme X. And I am really pleased to report, this makes me happy.
Okay.
It seems to be working beautifully with the system that Gerrie and I came up with to extend the memory. So that's an 8 megabyte CoCo 3 there that can run at 2.86 megahertz.
Wow.
Really happy.
With 8 megabytes of RAM.
Sweet. And higher speed.
General release
And no
on,
smoke.
Gimme X, so
It's
No
going
magic
good.
smoke.
That's a real tease, seeing a Gimme X in a CoCo.
It's starting to look pretty
Onboard
without
programming for the 8.
with the blue and the green.
Yeah, nice rainbow wire
Yeah.
there.
There's getting to be less and less stock parts in the CoCo 3.
Like, there's a CoCo 3 under there somewhere.
Yeah. Now I can vouch because I've been playing with the Gimme X prototype and with his 2 meg version of the board, and the 2.86 megahertz really runs nice. Bill's actually got Nitrous 9 completely natively running it now. We just have to slow it down for the SDC, but everything else runs full throttle.
That's neat.
There's no substitute for megahertz.
That's one of his custom keyboards.
Yep.
Yeah, with his little Cylon break key.
More megahertz is more better. Yep. There's the Cylon break key. Yeah, it looks nice. Looks good.
What will we have in 5 years?
No hair.
If we're still here.
All right.
Well, look like David Ladd and be just as enthusiastic about the CoCo as he is.
Oh. I'm not going to do that.
Now, CoCo's will be in lockdown.
Far out.
Anyway, that is the end of the news there, but that was a nice little surprise to just suddenly find that right before the show started here. So,
Roger that. Well, thank you as always for procuring the news and for delivering the news to us. And thank you, Mark Overholzer, who's now made it home safely, for posting the links. What is behind you there, Mark? I see a bus with a bunch of cards plugged into it. What do we have there?
Oh, I just got back from a computer rescue. There's a guy that lived 3 hours from me in Southern Oregon that had to get rid of this S100 bus, North Star Horizon system.
Nice.
He offered it to me for the price of just picking it up.
The price of picking. I see all kinds of cards plugged into a cage there. I see ribbon cables. This is computing.
Yeah, these didn't have like a keyboard with them or a monitor. Most of my guests were just a serial terminal, and so they're designed to boot CPM or custom DOS. This one probably booted a custom BIOS. I haven't looked at the discs yet because it appears to have 4 terminals are plugged into it. And the terminals are just keyboards. And so there appears to be some video connectors here on the back that are BNC. So I think they just went out to a monitor. So they had like some sort of video monitor, and then they had the keyboard plugged into it. So it's some sort of multi-user system.
NPM instead of CPM?
Yeah, it could be running NPM. I don't know.
What's that, multi-user?
Yeah, I think
it's a multi-user CPM.
Okay.
Looks like a Fairlight. Right. Remember when your lights go dim? That's normal.
It can't be that bad. So it's got a couple full height drives. Yep. It's got a linear power supply down here. It's got a couple full height drives. You can see it's got a CPU card with a Z80 and some RAM. It's actually got a real-time clock. It looks like it says 100,000 day clock.
I'm so jealous.
Has a little 9-volt battery. Hope it hasn't leaked. So yeah, and like I said, the second it's got the serial terminal seems to be the rear card, and then just in front of there it appears to be a video card. It says screen splitter, and that goes to the video connectors. It looks like so. Anyway.
State of the art in character printing.
Absolutely. All that needs now is James to optimize it, and you're good to go.
Oh, it did come with a couple other things. There's check this out. This is a Hayes micro modem 100 card.
Wow.
Here's the part that plugs into the phone line.
Holy criminies.
Put that on eBay. That'll probably pay for your trip and then some.
It might. Even if it doesn't work. There's a couple other cards. There's like this interesting ROM card. It has one ROM and a whole bunch of sockets in it. So, and there's a prom burner, it looks like, too. So I can burn my own chips.
Wow.
Yay. So, anyway, it looks kind of cool. I'm hoping to get it all fixed up.
Cool. All right.
Are we doing projects and acquisitions?
We are. We're going to, Okay, well, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll be back. And it will be project updates and acquisitions after this. So if you want to show more of that, Mark, when we come back, that's fine. Thank you, Curtis, as always, for the news. Thank you, James Diffendaffer, for the optimizations. And we'll be back after a little shortwave.
We will return after these messages.
CoCoTALK is brought to you in part by Placeblex Dietary Supplement. Placeblex. We think it works, so will you.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
Oh, I remember that Christmas. Dad gave me my first shortwave radio from Radio Shack. What memories. This Christmas, we got our son's Color Computer 3 from Radio Shack. It hooks right up to our TV and was on sale for less than $130. The Color Computer 3 makes learning fun. Jimmy even lets me use it for word process when he isn't playing computer games. Lucky I still got my shortwave.
Save $70 on the sale-priced Color Computer 3, only at Radio Shack.
Hey, this is Bruce Moore, author of Force of Doom, and you're watching the Original Gamer's Stevie Stroh.
Only the bravest souls enter. Only the most cunning return. Defeat innumerable monsters to ransom the king's scepter, stolen by the evil wizard. Your sword, shield, and wits are your only allies. Pray you find a magical inn as your only respite in the forest of doom.
For the tiny color computer 1, 2, and 3.
November 2017, if you dare.
This is Ken Reichert, author of Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
And you're experiencing CoCoTALK? Just when you thought it was safe to go back to CoCo Fest.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
CoCo Fest Edition? Still low resolution, still digital to analog converted sound. More machine language. And basic.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Now includes the power of Terry to clear the road ahead.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Available as a DVD-ROM with all my past games as an alleged bonus, including my unreleased 4th Rainbow Adventure Contest entry. Unreleased for a reason.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Get your physical or digital copy at cancanmakeit.com. Now you've really paid too much.
Make marionettes on electricity.
Crikey! Electricity's a fad. The biggest market is with open flame.
Brought to you by Nitrous 9, Ease of Use Edition. Hashtag OS9 Forever.
Crikey. Wow. That is something else, I tell you what. Well, it's been a great show today. It's been a show about nothing. Well, we had news, we had GameON, we had optimizations. But it is now time for everyone's favorite part of the show, and that's project updates and acquisitions, everybody. Where we go around and talk about anything we worked on this week, anything we did this week, maybe something we picked up on eBay, or in Mark Overholzer's case, on a road trip. So does Rick Euland, this land is my land, this land is you land. You mentioned, and by the way, Rick, I want to thank you for your contribution to the newsletter. I got a lot of great feedback on the newsletter this time around, and
Sweet.
It's thanks to all the content that was submitted, and you were one of those. So thank you, sir.
Glad to help. And continuing the tradition, I'm making more stuff. Let's see if I can make my screen happen. You cannot screen share.
Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing. I have stopped sharing.
Okay.
You try it again.
Well, let me try this again then. Ubuntu does very weird things when I try to share screens. So I'm just going to jump into it and bang over here. And is there a bench?
Yeah.
So I've been working on this thing for a while. I talked about it, I don't know, a month ago. So the mouse tamer, where you can put 3 devices into the CoCo and put any one of them on any port, basically. And this morning it still wasn't working. And here it is at the, WTF Central trying to figure it out. So here it is with its shiny new bodge wires, where I crisscross the selects on these 2 chips. So basically what we have here are a mouse, a joystick, and another joystick. These are quad bilateral switches, which are single pole toggle switches, basically. And with 6 of them.
4066?
Excuse me?
4066s?
Something like that. Yeah, I believe you're right. The nice CMOS, so they don't suck any juice. In fact, they don't even need these extra power wires here. Even with the high-res adapter plugged in, it seems like it floats just fine with comes out of the joysticks. So I was really happy about that. And then after my printer was done exploding cat heads, I built this case for it. So
I could just imagine the printer doing that.
You showed us that last week.
It's my new mascot. Yeah, it's supposed to be the Money Cat example print, but it came off somewhere in the middle of the show and made an exploded cat head. So the board just slides into these. So I don't have a lot of attachments, and obviously this is a combination of this isn't really a product per se. I was trying to, this is my human solderable prototype of a new circuit idea, combined with I need to figure out how to do good slide together cases in a 3D printer. And if anyone wants to build one, I'll give them a board and a case, something like that. But anyway, it pops in there. You pop the top on, and here's the input side, and there's the CoCo side. And
cool.
Go away, come back. And there it is on a CoCo. So bad idea. It sticks out way too far. But I think in the long run, I'm going for a surface mount version of this, where the product is actually just a little 2x2 inch board, whatever that is, 30 centimeters, 30 meters, millimeters aside, whatever.
30 meters.
30 meters, big old board, yeah. I can do a lot of stuff. I can even get that 8 megs on there. Anyway, so the design is kind of a cross. Oh, go away. Where's the thing I was looking at? You notice I use these tiny little switches such as are appropriate for, you can't even see them anywhere. Okay.
They're that tiny.
The little mini micro switches, and then we'll just jump off of this and get back to.
I really like how you've got it all designed so it plugs into the CoCo as one unit that plugs in. That's really neat.
If I did this just SMT, it wouldn't have this whole extension on the side, so it wouldn't extend past the power button. It would be just barely big enough for the 3 things to fit.
Okay.
But it sticks out so far. I'm thinking maybe the real thing to do as far as getting boards made is just a little 2x2 square with header slots in it, and that way you could dongle it into anything you wanted to do, or not populate the whole thing. Some people might not need a high-res adapter, you know.
I was going to ask you about that. Did you say that the high-res adapter will be included, or this is made to work with the high-res adapter?
No, the high-res adapter is part of it. In fact, a question for the room, as I've written it right now, whatever goes into the right side input of the CoCo has the high-res adapter on it, switchable high or low.
But it has to plug into the cassette port.
Well, yeah, there's in fact the mysterious blue wire.
Is it cassette or serial? I can never remember.
It's the cassette port, and so it can't be contiguous because there's a jump. So it has to actually be an extra wire. And in fact, I think here's the mysterious blue wire that reaches out over to the cassette port, which would, obviously be a little tail with a plug on it or something. But
so can you turn off the high res without unplugging the cassette?
Yeah, there's 3 switches on the gizmo, which I haven't got a good pic. Well, let me just quit sharing a screen and go back to my.
How do you access the power switch of the CoCo?
There's going to be a feed through. In fact, if I could stop, am I back to my normal screen? I can't tell.
I can turn off your sharing if you can't figure it out.
Okay, if I kill that,
Okay,
that doesn't help.
I just stopped your sharing.
Here comes Zoom. Okay, perfect. So anyway, let's see, where's the gizmo itself? So there is a feed through hole.
Oh, okay.
And the teeny tiny slide switches that I was speaking about. Okay, here's the test fit board for the case. You can see it's using little bitty slide switches, and then I'm using a adapter thing to create a meaningful slide switch off the top of the board here.
Okay.
That's not for this product necessarily, but for the potential SMT mini board thing, I'm going to want to use little bitty slide switches on the little bitty board. And so this kind of plastic thing becomes important. So I spent almost as much time making this stupid case as I have in making the circuit. But it was my first one on a new printer, and all of that. So I guess the next case will go a little better.
So have you been able to replicate the high res interface yet?
Oh yeah, it's all. I used to, in the 90s, I made a thing called, I don't know, the mouse socket or something that just, you stuck it on the back of the CoCo and it was a high-low res on the right side for whatever you plugged in there. So I just stole my old design. I was happy to find I can switch the op amp. The old 3900Ns aren't around, but I found a different op amp that works. So I think I'm good to go. Like I say, other than the
2904s will work in place of the 3900, I think, from memory too. Oh, you already found one that works in it.
Yeah, 3900D works. Still a single-ended op amp with 4 channels, so works for me, and it's available in little flat packs. So, I mean, my whole idea is to get this into a circuit board about, smaller than this Post-it, and I'm going to need itty bitty parts.
So the third plug will be high res enabled with a switch, yes or no, like on and off.
So whatever ends up being switched. Okay, so the idea is you have a mouse, right joystick, left joystick.
Yes.
You can switch mouse and right joystick between each other, and then you can exchange the two joysticks.
Right, so for the left, right.
So it's possible to put any one of those three devices on the right input of the CoCo, and the high res is there. High or low on the right side of the CoCo.
You can put them on
times.
Oh, okay. And you can see what goes on the left as well, right?
Well, yeah, you can switch the left and right twice is kind of confusing. MJ1, J2. You can put any one of those onto the right or the left side. Whichever one ends up on the right side has the high-res adapter.
Right.
It's the last thing in the line. Just right before you go into the CoCo is high-res, yes or no, on the right side.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right way to do it. That's the way I did it on this thing. And so it's kind of a question to the room. Would you
So
want the
Nitrous
high-res?
9? Nitrous 9, does it expect the most in the left or right?
You can set it to whatever side you want. That's settable in software.
Because that would be
So
the
would
big use for this is Nitrous 9 having a high res, right?
And soon you
Well,
won't need that.
Is there ever a reason for a high-res joystick, or should the high-res adapter just always be with the mouse? You know, that's... Don't know.
As a side note, how many people actually use the high-res mouse on their CoCo nowadays?
Well, I will for Nitrous 9.
Yeah.
Why did you say? Why did you
that? Ignore that because
that's the big use
you
case.
won't need it. You won't
Why?
need it for that soon, hopefully.
Why?
So what else?
Why does he keep saying that?
Because that's coming. You won't need that high res.
Yeah, we're trying to get the Sockmaster Nick Marenti's high res in software driver to work under Nitrous 9. Actually, I'll be hitting that fairly soon now that I've got
Isn't
my
that going to
flood
slow down? Like you need a 6309 for that.
No.
No, it doesn't need a 6. Well, I think the current one doesn't even use the 609. How much it slows it down is a concern. I have to see. From looking at the code, I don't think it's going to slow it down that much. But I haven't got that far yet, obviously. And of course, I'm not rewriting any disk basic stuff like Color Max or Color Max Deluxe. I guess Color Max Deluxe is already redone for that. But anybody else that had used the high-res interface will still need that for other software. But Nitrous 9, cross my fingers, hopefully will not require it later on.
Well, these things may get cheap though, because looking at the price of silicon nowadays, the 3 joystick connectors on the back of this thing cost more than all the parts. It's ridiculous. So yeah, high res adapter, cost you $0.25 if you got something else going on in the vicinity.
So getting back to the question between Nick Marentes and Nick Marotta, so we're trying to determine how many people want to use a high-res adapter, how many people have a high-res adapter.
Yeah, well, I look at myself, and I never plug in the high-res interface because it's a pain.
This would make it not a pain.
I just ask how many people actually use the high-res interface. I mean, apart from Nitrous 9, obviously.
They're hard to find. That's the
main one.
They're hard
That's
to find.
the main one, and we won't need it for Nitrous 9 anymore. So I'm wondering, what else do people use the high-res interface for?
Oh, the original versions of Color Max and Color Max Deluxe. Now, there's a patch to Color Max Deluxe now out that doesn't need it, but there's no patch for the original Color Max. If you have a 128K CoCo 3, you need the high-res interface to run that. Steve York had published the article in Rainbow to run the high-res interface both for the CoCo 1, 2, and the CoCo 3. I don't know how much third-party software used that. There were some example programs in Rainbow I know that did. Which
Nick,
I don't
you're
think
asking how many people use a device that's extremely hard to find.
Well, hold on. Let me throw out something here. If there is a hardware interface and a software interface, some people would probably choose the hardware interface if it's available to save the cycles on running the software.
Exactly. Hardware is always better.
Yeah, the hardware's not ultra fast either, so
it's gonna be faster than software.
Well, less costly.
They're pretty close.
Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. I mean, if you want ultimate speed for a high-res mouse, use a serial port.
Now, the problem you have, like Ron's holding up a high-res interface. Ron uses CoCo Max, which has a different high-res interface again.
Yeah.
Well,
I tried that. I've got the same interface there that you've got, Ron, and I tried it with Color Max and it didn't work.
I think CoCo Max would be a less of a use case than Nitrous 9.
Right, I've got one, but for no purpose. with
Made
the
in Korea.
Well, so
collector's piece.
So
There's also Color Max. Isn't there another graphics program?
Well, Color Max has been patched.
CoCo Max.
What is it?
Well, there's one that uses these special adapters. There's one that doesn't.
Yeah, that's the
right?
one I said. CoCo Max that Ron uses.
Right.
But it uses.
I mean, in that situation, we're talking about. That's why I asked how many people use the high-res interface. So in Ron's case, he would still have to plug in an interface to run CoCo Max. But how many people? Yeah, how many people do actually need it? I'm wondering.
Actually, David Croker just mentioned something in chat that I'd forgotten about. Max 10 needs the high-res interface, and that has not been patched.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it may. No, you could be right.
So that would be another case.
Still sealed in the bag. That's kind of weird.
Which one is that, Rick?
This is the CoCo Max with its interface and all of its bibs and bobs and font kits from Alpha Products, no less. So that's a cool thing.
So
the other thing too is this has the 3 inputs, which is nice.
Yeah, it's an interesting product that Rick's working on, and some people might want to use it, some people might not.
Yeah. I mean, the joystick switching alone is nice, and then the fact that it's got a nice case and plugs right in the back of the CoCo is nice too.
I'm interested in just for the three inputs. And,
right now, this is different than Jason's Joey switch because that's just a left-right switch thing. So this is kind of like a Joey plus high res, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is you can switch on the fly without glitching out the CoCo. So if you have one good joystick and you want to share it on a 2-player share game, you can flip left and right in the middle of the game, and the game's not going to go blip and you start over, which is the problem I had with I had a previous product that used a walkie-talkie push-to-talk switch that I had gotten surplus that was like an 8-pole double throw to switch the 2 joysticks, and every time you switched it, it would crash the CoCo. So that's why I went with the quad bilateral CMOS switch Wonder chip that costs.
I've been a big fan of the quad bilaterals myself. They're fantastic chips. They do incredible things. Yeah.
Can you believe these are the instructions for the high-res interface?
Wow.
There it is.
Wow. I have never used any of these type devices, but that doesn't mean that. I mean, Rick's working on it. Rick's going to make one. Some people might want to buy one or build one. And the question is right now, how many people are using high res? Maybe nobody is, but if the high res adapter becomes available, how many people will use high res? Well, that's to be determined, right? So,
well, they're just hard to find right now is the issue.
All right.
I've been looking for one.
Explain the difference between regular res and high res. What are
0
the
to
bit? What are
0
the
to
dots?
64 versus 0 to 6.
256.
Wow.
How sensitive the joystick or the mouse is, basically, how many positions it can read. So right now in Nitrous 9, there's not a one-to-one mapping between your mouse reading and the pixel you're pointing at.
So when you use a mouse, when you use a mouse in multi-view, it jumps 64 steps across the screen with the regular mouse, and I find that kind of hard for hitting icons and so forth. In the high res, you get the full
1-to-1 ratio.
Every pixel all the way across, and it's smooth, which makes it really easier to hit your target.
Yeah, if you're doing graphic editing programs, like the next ease of use is going to have MV Canvas built into it. It will need some sort of high res. It's totally useless with a standard low res mouse.
Okay. Well, that's neat, Rick. We got maybe a little too down a path of who could, who won't, who will, but that's okay. You're working on a project, and
I'll make a 1, 2, 3 article out of it.
Yeah,
and,
We'll make a newsletter article out of it. That's good.
And then I'll have to head on down to the pond and do the thing.
So do you have a dream ETA on this?
Well, this thing's working, so I don't know what to do with it next.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Dad. You can add a CoCo Max interface option in there because the CoCo Max interface is the same as the high-res interface, but it doesn't require the cassette. So that's actually going to be easier to implement than the Tandy one.
Interesting.
So you could have both Tandy.
I've got one here. I'm going to have to dig it out of its
multi-res.
I forget exactly what it does that's different, but it bypasses the need for the cassette. So you could actually implement that and that'll keep Ron
And then you're
happy.
compatible with absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Just all things CoCo in a white box.
And
There
then
you go.
don't forget the real-time clock and the sound chip, as Ken Reichard's pointing out. So
that's on the next program.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that was one update from one person. There's a few more people out here. Who else has got an update? Project update, acquisition, story to tell, something to share. Anyone? Bueller.
I have one little bit of one, but I was hoping Paul would be showing up because I know he was out with his son earlier today. He was going to try to pop by late in the show. I don't think he's on the panel yet, is he?
I have not seen Paul Shoemaker out there, so
anyway.
if we want to, maybe we want to just wait another minute or two. Does anybody else? Maybe we'll save Curtis for last. Anyone else have anything to update?
Just have one last comment on what we were showing on the news earlier. The first program counted all the ways of making change for $1. That's what that was.
Okay.
So
which was a similar benchmark that was in our newsletter.
That was from your newsletter.
There we go.
Look at that. The newsletter's influencing people already.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes. Let me speak on that for just a second. So yeah, I think I've done 4 or maybe 5 newsletters now, and this newsletter has been the most well received. It was the most well contributed to, as well as the most well received. So I want to say thank you on both parts. I want to say thank you to everybody who contributed, including Alan Murphy and Rick Euland and Mikey and I'm trying to remember who else, Stephen Pereira and Eric Canales' son did one. So yeah, we had some great contributions, and we actually had people read it, and then we had people who actually said, hey, this was really good. And the funny thing is that nothing has really changed. This is pretty much how this newsletter's been since 1985. But some people were saying, man, I really like the new format. I'm like, well, the format hasn't really changed that much, but if you like it, that's great. That's great. So,
something special about it. But...
yeah. So, but, it's one of those things where you ask and you don't always receive, but we received a lot of content, and I was really thrilled with the amount of content, and I think it made for a good newsletter. And luckily, people read it and responded favorably. So I want to thank everybody for making this a whole big, complete experience. And not only that, but we got somebody was inspired by the benchmark. I think it was, who was it? I have to check my email now. But yeah, not James. Is it Jim Jones or James Ross?
James Jones?
James Ross, I think. He says, oh man, I was inspired by that one. So he already wrote one, and he then submitted. So I already have an article in a program benchmark follow-up to an article from this newsletter for the next newsletter. So that's a first. So that was kind of cool. We had a Glenside meeting that just happened Thursday, which I missed. But don't forget the Glenside Color Computer Club, glensideccc.com. They meet third Thursday of every month. I missed that meeting, but hopefully it went well. And what else? I do have a couple of updates and acquisitions. So if nobody else has anything to share, I'll go ahead and show mine. And we're stalling.
Brian Schubring was holding up his hand. I don't know if
were you going to show something, Brian?
Well, just what you see on the screen here. I've been getting OBS set up for starting the series on music and what you can do with music on the CoCo. So, oh yeah, I'm working on it. So it looks kind of good. I got OS9 in the background here, and as you can see, I actually do have Ultramuse running over here.
Now, is this on a real CoCo or is this on an emulator?
No, it's actually on emulator.
Okay.
I'm using an older version of VCC.
Okay.
But I want to get myself a video capture board so I can actually do it on real hardware and that.
Okay.
And
nice.
So that's pretty much what I've got going on here. I've just been playing with some stuff here and that to get myself acquainted with OBS.
You're doing a better job than I am so far. So you've got a scrolling ticker and all kinds of stuff. So that's
I noticed Rob Inman's been fiddling with his MIDI pack too. He put up some videos of playing MIDI stuff on Discord too. So we should get the two of you together for a big CoCo MIDI presentation now that Jim Brain's actually got the MIDI board shipping. So
which Rob was this again?
Inman.
Rob Inman. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get one of those MIDI boards. They look really good.
I wish I could find Mike Carey. You remember Mike Carey way back when right, Curtis?
Yeah.
We did that big thing and all that. That was way back in the
probably late
early
80s, early 90s. Yeah, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
that was early 90s and all that and whatnot. But I honestly don't know if he's still alive because I know he had a brain tumor and he had surgery. But I got a hold of him a while back in that, and I know that he's still around. Just he's still working on converting pianos to player pianos. We're using MIDI and such. But anyway, that's all that I had. I just trying to show off a little bit.
No, that's good.
Doing some
That's good.
tweaking and stuff. So anyway,
Yeah, we'll have to have a MIDI special. David, have you got your MIDI board ready too, or?
I don't actually have a MIDI board here, but I do have the MIDI coming out of the second sound, and I've got plenty of other MIDI things here. I'm happy to join in with a MIDI discussion. Absolutely.
Yeah, 'cause I like to do a special on MIDI on the CoCo now that we actually have a commercial MIDI board out again finally after years. So, and
Yeah,
show
I'll have
what
to get
people have been
myself.
doing.
I have to get myself one of those boards. Definitely, it's on my must-do list.
It looks good, Brian. I like what you're doing there with the OBS. I'm glad to see you working on that. It's looking good.
and maybe I can become a backup.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to share or show or talk about? Anyone?
Okay.
David O'Connor.
Yeah, just a quick thing. It's not so much anything sort of so much to show, but everybody's familiar with my my CoCo 3 in a Model 4 case. I was just discussing at the start of the show, or just before we started the show, I'm looking for a name for it. I've been thinking about calling it the CoCo 34, but yeah, sort of, CoCo 3 in a Model 4 case. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a competition, and for people to name my CoCo 3 in a Model 4 case, and whoever...
and we're going to win a Vegemite.
Well,
I don't know if I call that winning, but okay.
Whoever comes up with the winning name for this system, I'm going to give them a free copy of whatever album of mine they would like.
Oh, that's cool.
Neat.
Cool.
We heard CoCo. Kevin Holloway says CoCo 3.4. We have Retro Innovation saying CoCo 0.75. James Different says Franken CoCo.
No, that's Mr. Dave 6309.
What I might do is I'll let this run through till the end of September.
Okay.
And I'll put it up on the TRS-80 Facebook group as well. And yeah, we could as until the end of September, I might do an updated show on what people have submitted or whatnot, and yeah, I'll take it from there and see if we can find a good name for this thing.
Ken Reichert says whoever picks the worst name gets a copy of Nightmare Highway.
Pick me.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we got to name it, right? Okay, cool. Community involvement. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Who else had show and tell, project to share, story to share? Okay, then I will go. Couple of things. Taking a cue from the playbook of Brian Weasler, I look for books, and I found this one here, the Basic Computer Games, and this one is supposedly a first printing for however many times they printed this, and the pages are very clean and very white, so it definitely is has lots of listings. It's all stuff. It's just a generic basic that should work on any 8-bit system of the time, but it's pretty cool. It's shiny, it's clean, it's it looks very nice. I love the kind of 80s style Schoolhouse Rock looking artwork on this. And there's another book that he got that he's going to be sending me. That's a graphics, CoCo graphics by the Inmans. I don't know if I showed this one off before, but this is another kind of interesting controller. I'm trying to find the holy grail for if you use the CoCo Pi, right? So I'm trying to find something that is a wireless keyboard, gamepad, whole 9 yards. And I tried another product and to switch between keyboard and joystick. It lost the identity or one or the other, and then that was a problem with MAME, because if you had to switch back to the keyboard, it lost the joystick, and MAME didn't know the joystick was there, and so that didn't work. So this one here is kind of looks like an Xbox controller with a trackpad or the chat pad built in. If you've ever used like an Xbox 360, these have these little chat pads you could snap into your controller. So this, it is wireless. It's RF. It uses a little USB dongle. It's not Bluetooth. It is a keyboard and a controller. It is not both at the same time. You have to press a toggle button to switch, but it does keep the recognition of the joystick and the keyboard at all times. So, so your Raspberry Pi operating system sees both devices at all times, and so MAME never loses recognition of the joystick. So it is closer to a perfect solution for a real easy RetroPie game console experience. CoCo Pi game console experience. So it's getting a little bit closer. So I'm trying different products to find that one thing that does it all. So almost there with that. So, and I'm hopefully going to be doing more on the CoCo Pi as time goes on. And if you have been following anything on Discord this week too, you may or may not be aware of the fact that I have picked up again my Cosmic Aliens project that's been sitting on a shelf for probably 2 years. So I kind of got back into that, and I've been working on that pretty actively most of the week, and I made a lot of progress, did a lot of things, and then I'm actually trying to do a minor rewrite now because I found one small bug in a piece of logic in the game. But what had happened a while ago was I had some assembly language routines that John Strong had donated to me to speed things up. And then the problem was he gave me so many routines, I kind of lost track of what was my program or how to even use my own program. So I kind of felt like I was stuck in a corner and I didn't know what to do. And rather than trying to fix that problem, I just put my head in the sand and said, I don't know what to do. And I didn't do anything. So I just said, F it. And I walked away from it because I was confused and frustrated. But then I said, you know what? I could actually just go back because I have multiple versions. I save every copy of the program as I go along. So I just kind of kept backtracking until I got to a version that was 99% mine. And then I basically have peeled away all of the assembly routines that he gave me to help speed it up because number one, I lost comprehension on how to use them, but number two, I'm like, well, this is my game, and part of my feeling was I lost that feeling of this being my game. So I went back a few versions, I've stripped out everything. Now it's back to being 100% basic, and then I've moved it forward and I've made a lot of progress. I've discovered things that weren't right, that should be changed, and I've made a lot of changes. I've been playing and tweaking and play testing, so I've been working on that, and based on everything, I think in another day or two I'll have a quote-unquote new version of the game that is back to being all of my stuff. And I kind of want to finish that project because it's been sitting around forever, and I think it's very close to being finished. And I'm just going to release it, and you can download it and play it for free. And it's a crappy game in BASIC that, it's going to join a long
it's all yours.
line. But it's all mine, right? A long line of other crappy games in BASIC. But it's a project that I started that I want to finish, and I'm just going to feel good that I've got it finished. So I'm thinking that will be reaching the finish line soon. So that's been kind of what I've been working on this week. And that's it for me. So
okay, cool.
That note...
I've not heard anything from Paul, so I'm assuming he's still busy with his son. So I guess I'll just have to present what we were going to present just by myself. So I'll do a screen share here. Is that coming up?
It is up.
Certainly is.
Hey, so this is actually, I'm running the MAME emulator. I've got the 609 and 609 versions running of the same thing. I've also got the Basic 09 source code underneath to reference later.
Okay.
But basically, Paul Shoemaker, as you guys know, has released that solo poker game that he did with some pretty nice card drawings and 16 color graphics on the CoCo 3. And I thought that's a really nice card set. If you send me a copy of the graphics, I'll put buffers out of them and put them on the next ease of use. And then it'll be a standard set of cards that if anybody wants to write a card game, whether they want to do it in assembly or Basic 09 or C or Pascal or whatever, they won't have to draw the graphics. So they'll just be able to just grab these buffers and use it. So one of the things I've been concentrating on ease of use beta 5 and 6. So the beta 5 is already out. You guys can download it for free from my site. Beta 6 is a work in progress. It'll be out before Christmas. I've actually managed to speed up some of the get-put buffers even a little bit more since the beta 5 release. So I decided to just see what it would look like. And actually, I was quite surprised the 6809 version actually is running a bit faster than I was expecting. So I'm going to demonstrate that here. So right now I've got the programs paused and it's loading 55 card images. Now there's 52 playing cards, your 4 suits times your 13 cards. There's also like a card back and an empty spot, which is designed for the green background that Paul used in his game. So we'll probably tweak that at some point. Also, there's a Joker that was not used in the poker game that is available as well. There's 55 card images. And basically this demo is written in Basic 9. There's no assembly involved. And basically it's preloaded these 55 get put buffers. And then it basically just goes bouncing from left to right across the screen, moving, I think it's 2 pixels, 1 even byte to the right and then to the left as it going, and then just randomly placing the card vertically and just cycling through the 55 card images and basically not doing anything else. And it just leaves a trail of all this stuff on the screen. So the one on the left, I believe, is a 6809 version, and the one on the right is a 6309 version, which is a little bit faster.
They actually both say HD 6309. It's CoCo 3H.
Yeah, that's because I just booted up the emulator with the same mode.
Oh, but the actual
6809
OS.
Nitrous 9 on one and booted
Gotcha.
6309 on the other.
Okay.
So we'll kind of go through the little bit of source code a little bit afterwards here, but for now I'll just kickstart them up here.
Oh yeah, the one on the right is definitely faster.
Yeah, but the one on the left is actually not too bad. It's
Not too
it's
bad.
a 32 by 41 pixel get put buffer. And like I said, in basic, I'm not doing anything fancy at all. This is just standard get put buffers as long as you're on an even byte boundary. And actually it's jamming them up at a pretty good clip.
Yeah.
So I think this kind of proves you could do some arcade style games, low end arcade. You wouldn't be pulling off a Gunstar or anything with this, but you can definitely do some pretty decent graphics. And for you guys that program this basic get put buffers, either for CoCo 1 and 2 or for the CoCo 3, I'm assuming this is a fair bit faster from what I remember. I haven't fiddled with them in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
now does Basic 09 call it get and put, or do they call it something else?
No, they call it get and put.
Okay.
Actually, I can switch over here.
Didn't Basic 09 come out before Microsoft Basic on the CoCo?
It was developed before the CoCo came out, yes, because they originally did for the 6809 with Motorola in 79, 80 is when they started designing it. So technically it came out, and then Basic 09, the main core language came out for the CoCo 1 in 83. And then the CoCo 2, of course, and they had a low-res graphics package, but it wasn't anywhere near as extravagant. It had some very basic commands, but not much. It didn't even have get put buffers, actually. It had like circle and flood fill and piece set and line, and that's about it.
Okay.
The CoCo 3 one actually has more graphics commands than Super Extended Basic does by quite a large margin. There's a lot of things you can do in there. So the actual source code.
A lot faster.
So the program that's running right now is that. That's all.
Wow.
And then these other ones here, I've got the little card palette routine, which basically just sets the colors to match what Paul did on his original game so the graphics look right.
Okay.
And of course you can tweak them. It's just data statements. Load cards is just a routine that actually loads in all of the graphic images from the sys directory, which is where they'll be showing up in Ease of Use Beta 6, and you guys can use these. Now, one nice thing about OS 9 being multitasking is that these get put buffers, once you're loaded, they're shared, which means if you wanted to run, say, a poker game in one window and a blackjack game in a second and a hearts game in the third or whatever, it doesn't have to reload all the graphics and take all the RAM up to use that. They all share the same card images, so basically you're saving a ton of memory, because these cards, I think I figured out, took like 48K total to do them all. So you can actually multitask quite a few of them, and they all share the same buffers. So this little routine here just
resource.
Sorry, was that?
Becomes a system resource.
Yes. Yeah, basically. And then this is just a little subroutine if you wanted to kill the card buffers to reclaim that 40K of graphics RAM back. Now that, because this is going to be a system-wide thing, that I would prompt the user for if you're going to use this routine to kill them off, because if he's running a card game in another window your program doesn't know about, you don't want to suddenly wipe out the get put buffer so the other game just gets totally screwed up with random gibberish. But yeah, like I said, basically here, and for those not familiar with Basic 9, it's not doing too much special here. I've got a couple of variables dimmed. DWN, device window N, just close the current window, whatever setting it was hardware text or a 40 column or an 80 column or whatever. This DW set here sets up for a 320 by 200 by 16 color graphics screen. Then I run the card palette to set the palettes right for the cards, load the cards, loads all those get put buffers. You saw the tail end of that earlier, loading it. That takes a little bit of time because it's a fair bit of graphics to load. Scale switch off There's automatic scaling, so you can actually design a program that is set for a 640 screen no matter what mode you're in, and it'll just scale it to whatever size. So even if you're doing a window that's not even the full width of the screen, it'll scale the coordinates. That gets a little bit tricky because sometimes the scaling's a little bit off if you're doing fairly small windows. So I generally, when I'm doing full screen apps, I shut it off. It also takes a little bit longer because it has to translate and convert them. And then it's just basically just setting up some stuff here. I set the foreground background color so you can read the text, clear the screen, shut the cursor off. Otherwise, you have this little blinking cursor going every time it puts a buffer on the screen. And then I just have a loop that puts the cards in and just, flips the direction back and forth and, does a random...
So you're basically just saving each card basically as a string, as an array, and as an array of a string array, basically. So then you can just call it.
Well, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. Unlike regular basic, Nitrous 9 and OS 9 do not use arrays to do get put buffers. It's actually its own separate entity. It's a graphic block buffer basically. It's used for cursors. It's used for your fonts. It's used for get put buffers. They all share the same routines to do this kind of stuff. So there's no arrays or anything. It doesn't take any memory out of your program whatsoever, actually. It's all in system memory outside. So right now we're loading 40 some odd fonts and we're loading a whole bunch of patterns and graphic cursors and now cards and stuff. And this is all outside of your program. So unlike super extended basic, where if you're drawing cards and stuff like that and doing get put buffers, that actually comes out of your own memory. And like I think in the CoCo 3, the H buff is actually outside of your program too. But on the CoCo 1 and 2, if you remember get put, you had to dim an array to fit your stuff. Well, that takes memory away from your basic program. You don't have to worry about that in here at all.
So you can basically, so I've got 2 meg on my main CoCo 3, so I could load it basically anywhere into that 2 meg memory.
Yep. Actually, I've fiddled it a little bit. I didn't show that for this demo here, but I've actually fiddled a little bit. I took some animated GIFs off the web. Like I have one guy that's swinging a sword, and it's about, 16 frames of animation type thing. And you can actually grab those buffers out and then use them in your own games. You can actually have this guy that's actually like fully rendered and drawn. You're doing swinging swords and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. I'm going to try to find a bunch of those in here and see if I can find enough to make a little demo game or something out of that just to show, what that would look like. But yeah, basically that's the entire main loop that's drawing everything is just from here to here with a check if you hit the Q key to exit. And then it turns the cursor back on and then sets the color to something you can actually read.
Yeah, that's cool. It's very fast.
Impressive.
Yeah, heaps faster.
Yeah. Very
and of course, you got stuff like overlay windows, change working areas. You've got filled circle, filled ellipse. You got patterns and all kinds of stuff you can use that don't exist in super extended basic. So there's a fair bit of power there. Another nice thing is too, you can chain the programs together. So let's say you want to draw your get put buffers yourself in your program. You can actually have one procedure that draws all the graphics, and then you get all the get put buffers out of that using get. And then you can chain to the actual program that plays the game, which means the original program that did all the drawing goes bye-bye and it doesn't use any of your 64K workspace. So you don't have to keep that stuff in memory while you're running the game like some other games do. You can actually just have one program that sets up everything and then chains to the other program so it gets its own 64K for your actual gameplay code. And all the graphics are outside of that, and then the actual drawing of the graphics is outside of that. So basically, you've made a program that's essentially 128K or whatever it is.
You could change any of those buffers at any point by going into say you've got 2, multitasking windows going. You've got one program running there to load your buffers. You could change those buffers then, and it'll automatically change what you call back from the put buffer.
Yeah.
On the other screen.
Yeah, there's 2 ways of doing it. I'm doing GP load, which is basically loading from a disk file and just merging it in and setting it up. But you can also map a get put buffer right into your own address space and poke into it to change the graphics themselves or the colors or whatever else you want to do. So you can do that as well. But if you do that with a shared buffer like this, as you mentioned, any other card game you're running in a different window will automatically get the new cards then live while you're playing.
Yeah, this would be kind of neat to see maybe some Mahjong tiles too to set up to have like some Mahjong games and stuff.
Yeah, well, there is a Basic 09 Mahjong game on Beta 5 right now, Shanghai BO9. It's by Sean Driscoll, the guy who did that GUI library thing. So that's a demonstration of it. Now, he wrote that before all my optimizations, and there's some tricks, which will be mentioned in the updated documentation, that will run faster if you do certain byte boundaries and stuff than if you don't.
Right.
And I don't believe his is actually using those because they didn't exist back then. So his could be tweaked and optimized to be faster than his now, but it's not bad speed-wise as it is.
Cool. Cool. Well, that's a nice little resource to have and maybe a little motivation. I know it was always on my to-do list with Cosmic Aliens to have a version in Basic 09. My kind of dance card right now is finish Cosmic Aliens, which I'm hoping to have done in about a week's time, release it to the world, get back to finishing Kabam, release that, and then going on to my assembly. That's been, 3 years delayed getting into assembly. But
if you're interested in porting either Cosmic Aliens or Kabam to Nitrous 9 and using some of these things here, feel free to hit me up for that, because I think you can do both of those in Basic at a pretty good pace.
No, I will, but I have 2 open flames right now, which is these 2 projects that I just want to get done. And then when they're done, then I want to learn assembly. And then I want to do something in assembly, and then I'll go back and worry about porting. But the more I keep trying to do things in Basic and get distracted, the longer it's going to take me to start learning assembly. So that's been on my to-do list far too long. So I'm trying to get these other things done so I can move on to that.
I've talked to Paul, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to have him on here, because he was kind of intrigued with the speed that he saw in this too. So he's thinking of doing a port with my help of possibly getting a solo port or a different card game using the same card deck.
Yeah,
but doing a Basic 9
I look forward to that. Yeah.
So if that gets done before December, when the next release is out, we'll include whatever game project that ends up being on ease of use as well. So you'll have a full running game that actually uses the card demo.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing that, Curtis, and thanks for all the progress you've been adding to the ease of use project, making Nitrous 9 even more better for the world. That is very cool stuff.
And thanks to Bill too. I mean, he's the one who got the Gimme X triple speed working on it now. So
nice. We are coming up on 2 hours and 40 minutes, so we're almost going on 3 hours. So we probably need to give the world a rest. But do we have anything else that we want to talk about, or anything?
I wouldn't mind showing Brian Schubring's screen briefly, because he's actually showing Ultimuse running with actual notes and stuff on it. So people have not seen this MIDI editor. This is what it looks like.
All right, let's move that out of the way.
Oh, nice.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's Ultimuse.
It's pretty.
Yeah, so up to 16 voices at once, MIDI controls, and plays on real MIDI synths and the whole shebang. So
it looks very
scribble on the screen.
Music heathen.
This is the piece of music that might carry moused into Ultramuse. This is Stars and Stripes Forever. This is what I play at the fest after the introductions and start the fest going.
Looks like some chickens stepped in ink and walked across the page.
It looks like a copyright hit.
Well, that means that you don't know about music there, Stevie.
I don't.
It shows how uneducated you are.
If you've heard him sing, you know that's true.
What's the bottom clef?
That's percussion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's percussion.
Oh,
You've
okay. I've
got
never seen
3
that before.
trebles, 1 bass, and 1 percussion.
Yep.
It's got time signatures and everything else too. It's a very nice music editing utility.
Yeah, that's neat.
Are we able to hear anything right now, or is your sound being able to be sharing audio?
Well, I tried to map the output to my USB MIDI box, but for some reason it's not working correctly. So I mapped it in but in the VCC, but I'm trying. It's going to my synthesizer supposedly, but it keeps coming up with the error. No MIDI yet.
All right.
Well, once you get hooked up to the real thing, you can actually play it like you do at the fest there. For people that haven't been able to attend, they can actually.
Yeah, see, there's the error. It doesn't have MIDI. I have to try to map Ultramuse to the
hardware
stereo port, I think.
Yeah, because there's a drive wire way to do it too in some of the emulators too. So yeah, it depends which way you're trying.
Is it Ultimuse? That's on the STC image, isn't it?
Is it a Nitrous 9 or OS 9 product?
Yes, it's OS 9.
Okay.
Oh, that's yeah, right. Okay, you're running that in OS 9. Okay.
Looks good though. Looks very Mac-like. Very
The
GUI-ish.
notation is excellent. That's really, really good. Really impressed with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Michael Knudsen did an awesome job on this.
Well, he also had a Linux version of it too, which you can find out there somewhere. I think Bill Pierce He's been working on it, rewriting certain aspects of it to work with DriveWire. You used to be able to update Ultramuse through DriveWire, but server connections are broken, and he knows, but he's got other things going on.
Neat. Cool stuff. Well, we look forward to seeing more of what you cook up for us, Mr. Schubring.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Anyone have anything else they want to say? Or we play the credits and maybe have some parting thoughts after the credits? And then
I don't do anything on my end, so.
Okay.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. We got nothing. All right. Well, we're going to cue the outro, and then we'll be back after that for final thoughts. Thank you, everybody. This concludes another episode of CoCo Talk, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCo Talk, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk at CoCoTalk.live.
CoCo Talk is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCo Talk is rocking the 8-bit world.
Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click the Patreon link at our website at CoCoTalk.live.
CoCo Talk is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCo Talk is rocking the 8-bit world.
CoCo Talk would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholzer, Grant Leedy, Bruce Moore, Nick Marentes, Ron Delvaux, Rick Adams, Jason Reicher, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Tom C., Rob Inman, Mark Bosley, Brian Joyce, Ken Reicher, David O'Connor, Brian Weasler, Terry Steggy, Nick Marotta, John Strong, and many more, especially to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and James Diffendaffer for making my head explode. Please help support the CoCo community by visiting some of its various contributors. A list of resources is available at imacoconut.com. That's IMACOCONUT.com. The CoCo Talk theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Nick Marotta. Nick Marotta. Well, great show again, everybody. Thank you. You are too kind. And thank you, Curtis, for the news. Thank you, Nick Marotta, for the GameON. Thank you, Mark Overholzer, for putting out the links in the chat, and everybody else for being here. Good show. We are kind of out of things to talk about, but I do want to maybe ask the quick question, since we do have some programmers and project makers here in the panel. Curtis, you're working on beta ease of use, and you've been working on that for a while. As I picked up Cosmic Aliens after it being on a shelf for 2 years, I know my own bad habits. It's really easy for me to get knocked off the horse and not want to get back on the horse. So I'm just curious, for those of you who actually get things done, how do you do it? And what advice do you have for slackers like me? So,
well, one that I think Nick Marenti shares with me is that sometimes if you're getting too flustered on one project or one part of the project and you just can't seem to scramble in your brain exactly how to get it done, is just drop it and go on and try something else that's a bit more fun, a bit more simple. Like he did Waterfall, for example, or in my case, I was trying to figure out this flood fill bug for 3 freaking weeks on Nitrous-9 Beta 6, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I just went off and did that card demo, which took me like literally just a couple of hours from getting the original disk basic program from Paul, converting it to OS 9, ripping out all the buffers and everything else, and got a nice little animated demo going. And that sometimes when you actually let go of the project for a while and you come back, all of a sudden your brain thinks differently, or something obvious suddenly just springs to mind. Oh, yeah, I can do this type thing. Now, it shouldn't take 2 years to do that, like in your case, but sometimes you just need to just shift gears for a bit and then come back to it, and you'll be amazed that, that whole new insights will come out. It works for me anyway.
Of course, hunger could be a good motivator too, if you're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like.
Well,
so
that's not fun at all.
Nick, did you have any comments on that, or is Nick even still awake?
Yeah, I collect Ferraris, so the hunger is of getting my next Ferrari. I can get a fair number in a shoebox.
How big are your feet?
Well, it's good. Like Nick, do you actually keep like deadlines? Like, do you have sort of like a, do you try to schedule deadlines for your games, like when to hit certain milestones, that kind of thing?
Not for the entire project. I set deadlines up for sections of the game. So you break the project up into stages, and you set a deadline for each stage. So I'm going to do, a part of the game. I'm going to make sure I get it done by this weekend or in a week. That way, if I want to take a break, I can stop there, do something else, and then return, knowing that I've completed that previous stage. So I start on the next stage fresh.
Because you don't have like a tandy breathing down your neck or anything, so you have to be pretty self-motivated to keep a schedule.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
And having fawning fans like Nick does, I think that probably helps him do it too. So.
Is it fawning when you're like, so how's the game coming? When's it going to be released? Is that fawning?
I'm finding that just making a little list, like even on my phone, just on my notepad thing, just putting a list there of things I want to get done. And then I've got something in front of me. Oh yeah, I've got to do that. I've got to do that. And if I've got a list of things in front of me that I can see, I can say, yeah, that one's not important. Yeah, that one's really important. Let's do that one.
Yeah. No.
I've got to go with the LCB theory. When I first pick up a project, I do a great, outstanding leaps forward, and then it just sort of ramps down from there. So I can keep beating my head against that wall, or I can go do something else. You get a great leap forward on that project, and then when I come back to this one, it's gold again. It's like there's some subconscious work going on when I'm not there.
The brain does do that. The brain seems to detangle itself over time. Yeah.
Defrag. Defrag at the brain.
Yeah. I kind of look at it, it's like sorry, Ron, what was that?
There's no motivation to get it on the show. That would be one thing. I mean, with Nick Marentes used to do updates, pretty much weekly sometimes on his game as he'd make it. And
that's just for him to stroke his ego, though, more than anything else. So.
Ego is a big motivator.
Yeah.
One of the reasons
honestly, I think a few of us do that. We do the project updates up here because we hear feedback, especially if it's positive, or at least we're going in the right direction. That actually does egg us to go on and keep pursuing it. Whereas everybody goes, who cares? That project looks like it sucks, and you just drop it and do something else. So
that's one of the reasons why I decided today on the updates and acquisitions to do a competition for naming this, because I want to get this project finished. This is another
that's a good idea.
Drive base and things here, so I figured if I put out a competition to get people to name it, that inspires me to get in and actually do some work on it this month.
Yeah.
Chet, since you just joined us, do you have any tips on how to stay focused on a project and getting it done?
Well, really, I just for me, it's a lot of planning to kind of get rid of, as many of the unknowns as I can. Because it gets really frustrating when you get into a project and you come to a dead stop because either you didn't forget, or either you forgot something, or there's something that you need to do that's like you need to put together a level. Well, how do you get all of that stuff together? How do you build your tiles into a file and stuff like that? So making sure that I've got all the tools, like when I did with Digger 1, making sure I have my assembler, being able to upload it over to the CoCo, having all of that stuff out of the way first, and letting me getting it into the project and focus on that really, really helps. Because then I'm always focusing on the project. I'm not going left, I'm not going right to focus on something up that I have to fulfill, because either I didn't forget about it, or just that lack of planning.
Oh, I got one other great big, really big fat tip too that'll work for everybody. Turn off Facebook.
Oh, that is the best way to avoid getting anything done there is.
Well, I tell you what, because I did work on my game a lot this week, what I had to do was any type of distraction. Because even like on Discord, I'm finding I can't multitask. So when I'm trying to work on my code and trying to do this, I can't be chit-chatting. Because I just want to be hyper focused, and so I'm not. So so any form of distraction. I know there was one evening I was doing some screen sharing and stuff, and then all of a sudden, all the engineers wanted to try to help me, and it's like, everybody, shut the fuck up, right? I just need to do what I need to do, you know. And I know you're trying to help, but it wasn't helping, you know what I mean? And that's just human nature. Everybody wants to kind of chime in. But in the mindset that I was in, it's like, no, I just need to unplug and I got to work on this and stuff. So, but yeah, I have, and this has been me my whole life. This is not just on my CoCo projects, but I'm notorious for anything I can put off, I will. You know, and I've been doing it with the newsletter. You know, the quarterly newsletter that comes out about once every year and a half. So I'm a lifetime procrastinator, and you know. I don't even work on complicated things like Chet's working on. He's working on a huge fancy program. I'm working on a piece of crap in BASIC, and I can't even stay focused, you know. So it's just like a lot of these are my own problems, you know.
I was going to take a university course on procrastination, but it was going to be a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
And one thing I do want to ask you guys
on that already.
One thing I want to ask you guys here on getting distracted, since you brought it up, Steve. Like sometimes if I'm trying to figure out something, I have to get so undistracted. I can't even have outside sounds. Like I can't even play music in the background or anything else. I have to just have dead silence so that I'm just one with the machine type thing. Does anybody else go that far? Or because I know a lot of people seem to program with music.
Yeah, at that point you should probably step away, because at that point I'd have to say I would. I'd have to say that at that point you were too hyper focused to really have a clear picture of everything. It probably ends up being more frustrating than it should be. With that, because any little thing can just kind of trip you off. So at that point, I mean, for me, that's something that I immediately step away from and say, screw this, I'm not dealing with this right now.
Yeah.
Go out, sit on the front porch, smoke a bowl, and come back and look at it in a completely different light. I mean, because at that point, I'm liking it a whole lot more than I was 10 minutes before that.
But yeah, that's because of the bowl. That's got nothing to do with anything.
But yeah, I mean, it's that. Shutting yourself off and isolating, with no form of stimulus is typically a really big signal. You should just stop.
Yeah, for me, it seems to help me, but I can only do it like sparingly. Like I can't just try to write the whole program that way. But every once in a while, if it's complicated and I got a lot of outside variables I'm trying to figure out, then I have to concentrate solely on that. And hearing some tune that I start bobbing my head to just kind of distracts me a little bit too much.
Yeah, if I hit some sort of roadblock that I've got something hard to work on, I'll turn everything off and then maybe even do it late at night between like 10 and 2 in the morning, because I can focus for some reason.
Yeah, I'm the same way, actually. I can do much better programming at night than I can during the day.
Yeah, so I just don't see DMX and go at it.
You know, Curtis, what I found is that songs you can sing along with are usually more distracting than not. And so I discovered about 10 years ago, dubstep and trance.
I usually do instrumentals. If it's a simpler programming project, I can do instrumentals and stuff, and that doesn't distract me. But even those, if I'm trying to concentrate on something, I'm trying to figure out how it works or how it's supposed to work. Then I need no distractions all for a little bit, at least until I get over that hump, and then I can throw it back on again.
If you're in the groove, trance and those are great because they're like 140 beats per minute, and so you're just bopping along, just doing stuff, and it's like
but then I'm in my head, I'm worried about am I keeping time? Wait, I'm supposed to be figuring out this sine wave thing or whatever.
No, you don't keep time.
If you're
that's
in the
a
music,
good point, Mark. I do that all
Classical
the time.
music.
When I'm on a roll, and I'm not trying to solve problems. I'm just trying to create. Then I turn the music on, and I turn it on loud, and I just go. But if I need to really concentrate, music off, and I focus in on the problem.
There you go.
When I'm doing artwork and stuff, I have TV on my one computer. AT&T, you can stream. So I have Fox News on, and then I play YouTube, I'll watch something on astronomy, or I'll watch or I have music on, and I always have to have like two streams of something, and I'm constantly I'll doing my artwork and stuff, and then something will pick up my ear that I want to hear, so I focus on that, and sometimes I turn down the music just a little bit so I can make sure that I monitor what I want to hear, but I'm always having ports coming in. It just seems to be, to me, it just keeps sparking different things in my head. So
interesting. Yeah,
that's what I do.
Well, I'm just kind of glad that I picked up, something that's been on a shelf for too long. It was kind of funny. Somebody in Discord posted a message saying, "Oh, I'm just posting this on the 2nd anniversary of the last time anything had been posted on this thing." I'm like, okay, somebody's trying to give me a subtle hint that I haven't done anything in 2 years. So yeah, maybe I should pick this up again. But it's always been in the back of my mind what I want to do, how I want to do it. And I just remember with Cosmic Aliens, the graphical version, I just kind of felt like I got stuck in a corner with some of the routines that were added, and it just kind of discouraged me or frustrated me or whatever it was. And then that was all it took for me to completely just stop. Oh, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I'll just quit, and that was the wrong thing to do, right? I should have just regressed a few versions 2 years ago and then went back to where I knew what the hell I was doing and come forward. But I just kind of got that woe is me thing and I said, F it. And then I just, boom. The other one that I did, which was I was doing a proof of concepts. I did a text Cosmic Aliens, and then I threw that out there, and then all of a sudden that started taking on a life of its own too, where it was made better than what I even started off. And again, that kind of got me a little bit discouraged. I'm like, wait a second, this was supposed to be my program, and now it's somebody else's program. But the reality is that I wasn't working on it myself, and somebody was more enthused and motivated and productive than I was with my own project. So it wasn't like that I was upset that somebody did that, but it also just kind of gave me this kind of psychological, like, oh shit, now I don't know what to do, now I don't want to do it, I'm all bummed out, so I'm really easy to get psyched out. It doesn't take a lot for me to psychologically get the wind knocked out of me, and it takes me a long time to to want to start over again. So what I have learned by all this is I am never going to ask for help again, and I am never going to give out source code again until it's done. And then when it's done, you do what the hell you want with it. But I don't want anybody else doing a better job on my program than I'm doing it until my program's done. So and that's like with Kabam. I like that game, but it needs some tweaking, and I got some ideas there too. So I'm just glad that I'm for the moment coding again and working on stuff, and hopefully going to get some shit done. So good deal. All right. Well, thanks for all that input, everybody. Any parting thoughts, final thoughts, Curtis Boyle, for the folks at home?
No. Hopefully, we can get Paul on next week, and he can kind of discuss, where he wants to see that go.
Mark D. Overholzer, final thoughts for the folks at home? Okay. No.
Just find the mute button. So multitasking. Glad to be here as always, and always glad to have all the people here watching. It's a lot of fun to promote the color computer and all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah,
so, thank you for having us.
Ron Delvaux, final thoughts for all your fans?
We did really well with having nothing in the beginning.
Absolutely.
I got nothing.
Yeah. David O'Connor, final thoughts?
Name my CoCo and get a free copy of one of my albums.
There we go. Brian Schubring.
CoCo McCokeface.
CoCo McCokeface. Rick Eulin, final thoughts from you, sir?
I'm speechless.
All right. Nick Marotta.
We've already have some scores submitted for this week's game, which is awesome, but also means some people aren't paying attention to our show right now.
That's fine.
So, I don't know. Do we reward that or do we penalize that?
Yeah, and the worst thing is most of those people are on the panel, so that's
exactly.
Riveting we are.
He said penal. Nick Marentes, final thoughts.
I think as little as possible. So.
All right.
You have to show us that box with your cars in it.
Yeah. Mark Bosley, final thoughts.
Oh, guilty.
Okay.
That's right. One of them.
James Diffendeffer, final
play
thoughts.
This game.
This is a great way to waste a couple hours.
Oh, mission accomplished. Absolutely. Alan Murphy, final thoughts. Are you working on a project? Alan Murphy is a guy who gets stuff done.
Crickets.
Wake up.
He's muted. He's working.
He's not muted. All right. Well, until then, Chet Simpson, final thoughts.
Yes, eat your beets, children. They're good for you.
All right. And on that note, we are pressing the button. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Final